Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 55 of the 40K Badcast. My name is Dan Boyd, and I am joined, as always, by the most delicious snack a person could ask for. I'm talking, of course, about Mrs. Murphy's Chowder. Miss Chowder, how are you?
Is chowder a snack? See, the problem is you already used Crumbles McLady Fingers at some point in the past, and that would have been a much better snack food. I really want to snack on in like mid-August is a nice hot spoonful.
It makes you yodel louder. After dinner, Uncle Ben. Something fountain pen.
You are channeling dead crazy people as far as I'm aware, because I have no idea what you're talking about.
You haven't heard that song, Mrs. Murphy's Chowder?
No, I'm still hung up on the thought of eating chowder today. It's mid-August. That's hell.
I can't eat chowder.
Oh.
I'm lactose intolerant, and anything with a lot of heavy cream will turn a fine day into a very bad day for me.
Well, I'm terribly sorry to hear that. Man, I feel extra bad about being Steamy McCreamy or whatever you've called me before.
Steamy McCreamy is really good. Fuck. All right, Chowder Boy. Let's do our show.
Chowder Boy McCullen Destroyer. It's Chowder, I'll kill you.
Chowder. All right, we're getting into the aspects here. What's on our hobby radar? This is going to be a long one, fuckos. So strap the fuck in, because
it would have been a short one like a day and a half ago.
If we did this last week, it would have been a real short one. But nope, that's not how the chowder strains. Boils? Okay, whatever. Doesn't matter.
Simmers?
Potatoes are in chowder, right? Like you're supposed to have potatoes in chowder? Because I remember I saw on a menu not too long ago, it was like real New England clam chowder, no potatoes. And I was like, but I like potatoes.
I mean,
my name is fucking Daniel Patrick Boyd. Do you think I don't like potatoes?
I'd say it's coded into your DNA. Saying something's a real, authentic something or other is like extremely not true, because I can go down the street and get like a real, authentic North End Monster Tot, which is not a real thing. It is a log of mashed potatoes that has been deep fried and covered in like provolone and mozzarella. It's actually delicious, but there's nothing
really
authentic
fucking
about
good, though.
It is. It's a deep fried log of mashed potatoes, and that is all you need to know.
I'm fucking ready for that shit. Oh, man. I think it's eventually going to be my diet that kills me.
I think that's true of most Americans, so thank you for summing that up.
I actually eat pretty healthy these days.
Yeah, you have been since a bit before your wedding.
Okay. Well,
interesting.
We got wedding pictures back.
Yeah.
And I look terrible in all of them. Every single one of them. I hate them. Absolutely. Danielle looks beautiful.
Oh, no, I was going to say, most importantly, how do I look?
Oh, you look fine. I mean, you look cool. Like yourself. You're a good looking guy, so you're doing all right.
You're a beautiful boy, Dan, and we're gifted by your presence.
Oh, man. What a fucking shit show these pictures are. Okay. Anyways, let's get into the aspects here. Let's talk about our hobby progress. I am just grinding through this Repulsor Executioner. Mm-hmm. I'm about a third of the way done. I have done... I took your advice, because you talked about your Repulsor, I guess last episode, right?
Probably, yeah.
So, in our Patreon bonus episode... Maybe it was in between, because in our Patreon bonus episode, I remember telling you how much I loved your Repulsor.
Yeah, and that was from the Patreon episode, and I was deeply flattered, and I still think about that pretty much every time I'm feeling sad before I go to bed. I just think, Dan liked my tank. Yeah. I doze right off.
Well, you went piece by piece with your tank.
Right, I painted every individual bit to completion.
So I've been doing that with mine for the same reason you did it with yours, was just to make sure you don't miss anything.
Yeah, there's a lot to miss in that thing.
Yeah. So I've been working from the smallest pieces up. So the only things I have left to do are the turret and the body, like the main turret and the body, which are, of course, the two largest
90% of it, yeah.
So, fuck me. But everything else is done, and it looks like my other repulsor, but with a larger gun.
That's really all it is.
Cool. I did, however, do the door stripe on the doors, and I'm really excited to get that on there and when it's done and take some pictures of it because I think it's going to look really, really good.
Dude, I'm excited to see it.
Other than that, I haven't had copious amounts of hobby time, at least for painting, but I did do another terrain day with Scott Horace Harrison.
Oh, nice.
And
how much you get done?
So I've got all of my 2 tables worth of terrain based, sprayed, base coated, and we put the sand mixture down on the bottom.
Not bad.
So it's a mixture of sand, of spackle, of paint, and a little bit of water. And it makes this it's like rock hard now. It's awesome. It makes this substrate, we could call it, that you put on the MDF bases that we cut and to work as gravel.
Nice.
And so mine is all gray. We're going to give it a wash, like a dark wash, and then dry brush it a lighter gray color. And then we sprayed the ruins themselves in a, like, it was this Rust-Oleum or Krylon, one of the two, fossil satin.
There's a satin
finish. Well, I couldn't find any mattes.
Ooh, okay.
So, but I have matte varnish to go over that.
Okay.
So it should knock the gloss off of it. But even if it doesn't, I don't really give a shit that much. This is a fucking project, dude. This terrain project.
Yeah, no kidding.
So we're chugging away on that. You know, hopefully soon after Nova, I'll have 2 whole tables of terrain to use whenever the fuck I want to. Looking forward to that. But that took all day, and then we went to medieval times. Have you ever been to medieval times?
I might have when I was a little kid, and again, you're gonna get on me for not going to medieval reenactment like moments. I feel called out twice in a row here.
If it was samurai times, you'd go every fucking weekend.
I do not want to think about how badly samurai times would be butchered by like the fine people of Revere, Massachusetts. I have a gut feeling it would be about as historically accurate as Kowloon, which is like eating in a casino.
Oh God. Okay, well, it was fun. Medieval Times was great. We were in the Green Knight section. You sit in like your knight sections and you cheer for your knight.
That's my favorite Bretonian character.
The Yellow Knight and I sort of got into it a little bit. Like I was heckling him because he was like sitting on his horse, I suppose. You don't stand on. Well, some people stand. Anyways.
Yeah, did you go to like the Harlem Globetrotters equivalent of Medieval Times?
I was calling out, and I called out, "The Yellow Knight doesn't know how to parallel park." And he like looked at me. He looked at me, and I was like, "Yeah," and I was pointing at him. And then like for the rest of the show, he would like point at me and like do the thumb across the throat cutting gesture, and there was like a good heel, wrestling heel interaction going with him. He was great, and so I went up to him after the show just to thank him for being a good sport and get a picture with him. And he leans in and he says, "You know I can fucking parallel park, right?" And I'm like, "I know, dude. It was a joke." So that was really funny. That was a good time for me. So yeah, Terrain Day, working on the Repulsor Executioner. I pre-ordered the Book of Judgment and all the card sets for Necromunda that are coming out next week or I guess this weekend. And that's about it for hobby progress for me. So what about you?
Oh, well, speaking of parallel parking, I got my driver's license.
Whoa!
So extremely late bloomer here, only 12 years after I should have taken it. I can legally drive a car.
It's only 10 years late, but you fucking did it.
Yeah, I've only had to back down one active street against traffic this week. I'm really good at cars. I'm extremely good at cars. Massachusetts makes great drivers.
Oh, no. Oh, don't kill yourself, please.
Yeah, I'm hoping not to, but
I feel like listeners should worry about me less on my motorcycle than you in a car.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You're doing you, and you are doing you in a much smaller like area of space when you're on a motorcycle. And no. Do not, just stay away from any. I'm not going to say the make and model of my car, but just if you see someone who looks like me on the road, just stay away.
Wait, did you get a car?
Well, we share a car.
Oh, okay. I thought that you had gone and like got your own car.
Yeah, no, stay away from me if you see me on the road, not because I'm scary, but just because I'm bad.
Oh, God. Hey, I'm proud of you. I really am proud of you.
Why, thank you, Dan.
It's an unfortunate fact about American life is that you need a car to get everywhere. generally.
Especially when you get priced out of major metropolitan areas.
Oh, wow.
I can't imagine that happening to anyone, everyone, everywhere.
Oh, man. Isn't it cool?
It's extremely cool.
Late stage capitalism rules.
Love it.
Hey, we're going to get dinged on that on iTunes, maybe.
Oh, no.
Hey,
Not
Patreon
again.
Subscribers, or our fuckboy tier knows what I'm talking about. The most progressive podcast. Oh God! All right. Let's tell me about your actual hobby progress, please.
Okay. Well, I was gonna segue saying that's not the only road I've been on. I'm on the road to Nova because I am working on stuff for that. So I did a post about that already on Goonhammer like 3 hours ago, but I'm working on my display board right now.
By the way, very good post.
Thank you. It has a cat in it, so you should click on it. I really shouldn't have buried the lead with that one. Anywho. Display board is proving to be kind of a learning experience because I haven't like done from scratch terrain really before. Because this isn't just gluing sand onto a board. This is like I'm doing roads and I'm doing like ruins on there, which are magnetized on so I can pull them off, which that meant I got to play with the power drill to sink in big magnets into a board. So that was cool and also dangerous. But I'm working on building up hills in it. And I was going through like the old How to Build Wargames terrain book from 1994 or so, which is the most up-to-date resource I have on terrain building. Wow. And I'm working on getting some hills in there and trying not to make them just look like obvious steps of cardboard. And they're not going to be like big hills, but just trying to add a little more organic sort of shapes to this board and make it look a little bit less like I just slapped some shit onto a cork board I got from Target or whatever. So that's coming along pretty okay. Just once it stops being humid / hurricaning outside or whatever, I'll be happy to give it a spray prime. But I built a ruin, got that all done. But while I'm waiting for all this stuff to dry and waiting for all like the fumes to clear out and so on, I've been working on Primarnius Calgar.
Yes.
And he is the most fun I've had painting him in all year.
Yes.
Like I am loving every step of painting him. The only part I had any trepidation about was his cape, which I actually got to play with contrast on both the inside and outside. So I did like a few coats of Blood Angels and one of Flesh Tear in the recess and the outside. The inside is just the Skeleton Horde one, which I then touched up with a bit of like Ushabti Bone or whatever.
Yeah.
And he is coming together so well. The only reason he's not done right now is because I'm recording right now.
I was going to say, you mentioned earlier online today that you were planning on getting him done today, and you haven't yet.
No, he will be done today. Although when like I was working on him right when you called, so like when the Skype thing started booping, I did like a full on like Hank Hill like whoa, whoa, whoa. So yeah, that's my hobby progress right now. Just working away on him, working away on the board.
Yeah, you've shared a couple of work in progress pictures with the class, and I'm very excited to see what he looks like when he is done. So I'm gonna finish this repulsor hopefully soon. Maybe not by the end of this weekend coming up, but probably early into next week. And I'm kind of like trying to think of what I'm going to be doing before Nova. I talked about this display board thing a while back, and I want to have a display board too. I don't know if that's in the cards, unfortunately, but I am taking a week off work before Nova.
Ooh,
yeah,
spicy.
Now here's the thing. I don't know if I'm gonna like. I think it's gonna be a staycation. Which, if it's a staycation, your boy is gonna get a lot of fucking work done.
That's my second favorite convocation.
Because I don't know if Danielle. I don't think we can. I think she's got like school starting and like a whole bunch of shit. So I don't think there's any gonna be leaving town or anything. But that could be a very productive week for me, to the point where it might mean like multiple models and a display board are done all in 1 week.
That's all right. So based on how much you have left to do for your board, like how much you could just slap a couple of buildings from your board, like your board full home onto a display board.
Yeah, I can. I have the buildings to do it. I bought some tiles, some little hexagonal tiles that I could make like a walkway or a road with.
Ooh, neat.
That I could glue on there and then put the substrate down over top or around that with some buildings and sort of paint that up and get it all ready to go. I think that's my plan because I have the board itself. I think that would be It wouldn't be too hard to do.
I think what I said the first time you kind of brought this up was you can just integrate it into your whole like working on terrain workflow.
Well, that didn't really happen because Scott and I got together last weekend and we were like trying to plan out what our day was going to be, and it was just a lot of work getting everything done, and the workflow just didn't work right for getting all of our stuff sprayed, all these bases put gravel on. It just didn't work out. And so okay. I've got the makings of it at home, but I don't have the. It's not sprayed. It's not ready. It's not even put together. You know.
Okay.
So it's all just a. I don't want to like put too much pressure on myself because as we learned today. Well, not today, but as we've been learning for this week, there's a bunch of shit happening with Games Workshop right before Nova. And I don't want to put a ton of pressure on myself, but I do really want to finish this Repulsor Executioner, I should say. And I've got 5 intercessors, my last 3 Power Fist guys, and a couple of auxiliary grenade launchers for the 2 squads that don't have those. Like, I've got them primed and built, so I should really just paint them because they're already ready to go, and I could slot them into my list super easy. So I want to do those things for Nova, but like a board would be bonus, and then anything else on top of that would be bonus. So I'm kind of at a crossroads here, Crumbles. What about you? What are you thinking about post Primarnius? We've got about what, 3.5 weeks left until Nova?
3 weeks to the day, right?
It might be 3 weeks to the day.
It'll be the 28th in 3 weeks.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, Nova is fast approaching. So yeah, once Primarnius is done, I won't say all hands on deck, or all hands, 2 hands, my hands, on deck for the display board.
That's all the hands you have.
That's all the hands I have. Maybe I don't want, and the thing is, I'd say like my cat could help, but the glue would just get caught in her fur. It'd be awful.
Cats don't have hands.
No,
Cats
you're
have
right.
Paws.
You are very right. They have 4 of them.
I want you to press pause on that metaphor.
Fuck you. Leave the show. I'm done. I quit podcasts. Jesus. Anywhomst, yeah, display board. That's my big priority. Okay. I feel very clever for magnetizing the building to the board because one of my big worries, was
bring it?
Well, the thing is, I have a building that just magnetizes onto it. I'll sit outside, and I can just shove some clothes like in between the pillars so they don't break off. But also, one of my biggest worries was getting like nudged and having everything fall over, which happened the other day before I had everything magnetized, and I was just laying things out on the board, and I'm like, yeah, this looks pretty good. And then what do you know? Something got I dropped an Inceptor, and I like cartoon bumbled to try to catch it, and you could full on hear that like that Flintstones running sound effect, like that sound as I try to catch him. And not only do I fail to catch him, and he breaks on my new hardwood floor, but I elbow the building and it falls over and breaks one of my sergeants. And I'm like, yeah, I gotta finish magnetizing this fucking thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, once I finish this board, I'm thinking aggressors. I think I have like the 2 Victrix Guard or whatever on my desk.
Oh, Crumbles.
They're very cool, but I think I want to do aggressors first.
Oh, Crumbly boy. My sweet baby boy. Let me tell you something about aggressors real quick.
Yep.
They're so fucking good.
And I think they're going to be so fucking better because the Boltstorm Gauntlets or whatever are rapid fire, I think. So they'll be getting
they're assault.
Oh, they're assault. All right.
No, well, it'll still work. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a couple minutes. It's okay. Yeah. Have you played any games?
I have. I played against Cody, and this time he brought an Iyanden army instead of his typical Dark Eldar. And
I don't even know what Iyanden does.
They are Wraith Host mostly with the same kind of chapter tactics, craft drill tactics as Valhalla Skit. So there you go. I'm crossing 3 different references here.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, they degrade slowly and they don't run away. And the mission was the Relic, and it was long ways like Hammer and Anvil, and it was a really fun game. I had basically the same army I took last time in my previous games, which were just kind of like a bunch of Dark Imperium stuff. But instead of Infiltrators, I took a Repulsor, which is a flat upgrade. That thing was so fucked. That thing's fucking money.
It's so good.
It kept my Hellblasters alive until it died. And then it just wiped off anything that was not T6 or whatever. It wiped out by turn 2.
Nice.
Shot all his Rangers away, shot his Guardians away. I think I got some of his Dire Avengers. But he had like, you know, 2 squads of Wraith things and, you know, a bunch of characters supporting them and a Wraith Knight that was hiding behind all my buildings. And because I have like big city blocks and tall city buildings, he was actually able to hide it until like turn 3 or 4.
Wait, so, he hid a Wraith Knight.
Yes, he
not
successfully.
Not a Wraith Lord.
Wraith Knight.
The big boy.
Yes.
Okay.
So he shoots up a wave serpent up my flank, and I'm just kind of like bouncing shots off it because they're so stupidly durable. And speaking of stupidly durable, he has a squad of Wraith Blades drop in the middle of the table, and he has like a Farseer and a Spirit Seer, and he's got all these upgrades on them, and they're at a point where they're like a 2-up, 3-up with a 5-up Feel No Pain, or something like that.
God.
And I'm just like, I don't want to deal with that. And by giving me that target, well, here's the thing: is I have this target that I'm not going to shoot. They are slow. I have the Wraith Knight, which I'm not going to shoot because it's got too much to deal with. So I'm going to focus on the rest of his stuff. And I think I finally played a game where I used Inceptors well. Ooh. What I had them do is they dropped behind all this stuff, and I just started picking up his characters. They picked off a character a turn. They killed Prince Uriel, then a Farseer, then the Wraith Seer. They failed to kill his Bone Singer somehow, but they did everything else just fine. I feel like they probably were like exercising restraint because, like, guys, it's a civilian. He's got a flute. What's he gonna do? So while the rest of his stuff like started cinching towards my main army, my Inceptors just booped back to the relic and started running it back towards his deployment zone.
Yeah. And Inceptors are crazy good at killing characters. 18 heavy bolter shots is just enough to take out almost any infantry character. Yeah,
and they did to take out just about any infantry character except for the Bone Singer.
Well, what is he going to do? Flute angrily at you?
Yeah. So
I'm sorry. What was that?
What's you can sub that out and put in that skeleton doot horn sound effect if you really want to.
I might.
Yeah, but while the Wraith Knight,
I should ask you, how'd you like all that music I put in the last episode?
Oh, I thought it added a lot. The Tarantella, every time I said Vulpus Vulci was very helpful.
Now I gotta put it in.
Well, he didn't do much in this game. Actually, I'd say the real hero, aside from Inceptors, was just like my Primaris Lieutenant who's holding his helmet. He just tanked like 2 smites and a bunch of like small arms fire and held down an alleyway while the Wraith Blade just closed in, and he was able to he alone was able to screen my army from the Wraith Blades, and that was awesome. I've never thought to use characters as screening objects.
Did he die in the process?
Oh, of course, but he did cause, I think he caused 1 wound by hitting a guy with his hat.
Yes.
So that was pretty good. But the game was an absolute blast. I overcharged every time, save for 1, because it was at the fucking hover boat, which was like -2 to hit me, so you're gonna be overheating on 3s, and also I only take 1 damage per shot. And I'm like, okay, I will. Well, the funny thing is, the Hellblaster squad that did this is the one with caution stripes in their guns. That is the one squad that follows OSHA standards. Yeah. So they're like, okay, we know when to do this. So they did just fine. Yeah. But it was a super fun game. It was a great mix of like tough as hell and squishy units and fast and slow units. And I had an absolute blast.
Do you have
most fun I played against Eldar in a very long time?
I'm sorry to interrupt, but do you have a Primaris Ancient yet?
Yeah, I do. There was a point where I had the squad of Hellblasters shooting at the Wraith Knight, and it was like, all right, I have 4 guys shooting at you. 2 of them explode in death. They both fire again. You now have like 9 hits coming in on your Wraith Knight.
Somehow, I started with 10 shots. Somehow I have 12.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it actually even saved my bacon one more time because the Wraith Knight was like on my like the last like bunch of my characters. The only thing the Wraith Knight couldn't reach was my suppressors because they're on top of a building and it couldn't reach them. And he kills my intercessor squad, and the banner lets the sergeant hit 1 last time with his power fist, which was just enough to bracket the Wraith Knight, which meant that when the Wraith Knight got to my Inceptors, he was like hitting on 5s.
Awesome.
And it meant my Inceptors got to live and fall back and shoot and kill the thing, and it was awesome. It was like every single die roll started to really count like before the halfway mark in the game. I loved it. I had an absolute blast.
And I'm sorry, did you win that game?
Yes, I did.
Awesome.
I had 6 models left in the end of the game, but I did win the game.
Yeah, but you had the fucking scoreboard, and that's what counts, cat.
Yeah. No, nothing like a good old Pyrrhic victory.
Did you play any other games?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so I played a game too.
What you got?
So I played a game against Mike Brandt.
Ooh.
Yes, I played his ETC championship His that's redundant. His European Team Championship list.
Did you hit the ATM machine first?
Let's go through this real quick because you're gonna hate it.
I already hate it.
100 Catachin Guardsmen.
I like that.
Strachan, a priest, and Harker, 2 wyverns and 9 mortars.
Oh,
and so
I like it up until the mortars.
And 3 sentinels. So he's got a brigade going there.
That's a fairly fluffy Catachan army.
He's got 3 Blood Angel Smash Captains.
I'm out. I'm out. Yep.
Asterath the Grim, the Sanguinor, and 2x5 Intercessors.
Oh, I'm surprised you didn't take Sniper Scouts.
He didn't take Sniper Scouts. He wanted the Intercessors because Intercessors are actually very good. And so I had a double battalion of Raven Guard with my Repulsor, my Redemptor. I brought in my new Phobos Librarian.
Ooh, I love that boy.
Who died on the top of 1 before I could do anything with him. So that was cool. But no, this actually was a very fun game, even though it was against this horrible list. It turned out to be very fun. His army couldn't actually hurt my guys. So he relies on wyverns and mortars to clear out troops and stuff. But wyverns and mortars really, really suck against Raven Guard Intercessors in cover.
Yeah, they do. It's like strength 4 AP nothing.
It's like, okay, so how many? Okay, well, you're hitting on 5s, cool. And then you're how many AP nothing hits? Okay, 4 or 9, or it doesn't matter. Here's a bunch of 2-up saves. And so he can't really clear my squads with anything but his Smash Captains, the Sanguinor and Asterath. The issue was he had this, he's got this guard blob happening, right?
Yeah.
And every turn he combines squads. So he'll have a squad move in and then combine them with that stratagem that guard have. And so a 10-man squad is now a 20-man squad. And then the next turn it's a 30-man squad and then a 40-man squad. And it just gets this huge blob of dudes. And then he casts all these the +1 armor save spell on it. He had a Astropath in there too. Maybe even 2 of them. He does the +1 armor save on it, and then he'll put them all in cover, and then he'll do the go to ground or take cover stratagem, whatever, which gives him +2 armor, I think. So then you're dealing with 40 guardsmen in a terrain piece with a 2-up armor save.
This sucks ass.
Yeah, right.
I hate
so
it already.
I'm like, fuck. I can't, this is bullshit. I can't really kill these guys. So I was, sort of playing avoid that, but it was kind of like he couldn't kill my guys. I couldn't really kill a whole lot of guys. I was shooting the squads that were not getting buffed. I was just wiping guard squads off the table left and right. I took down his intercessors with Hellblasters, but his Smash Captains did a lot of work. They're all Death Company Smash Captains. He uses stratagems that one can move before the game starts, like do a scout move.
Yeah,
and
I know that one.
He got first turn, and so he just rolled in and charged my... my Phobos Librarian and killed him before I could do anything with him, which I was just like, of course, it's my newest model. Of course it's going to die. And that was okay. Whatever. Cause he couldn't get into any other squads at that point. Cause the Librarian was far enough back from the squads in front of it that he couldn't do a chain murder a bunch of stuff. So my dudes just killed him in the next with I think my Redemptor killed him with the Onslaught Gatling Cannon and the regular and the large Onslaught Gatling Cannon just on his own. It's here's 18 heavy bolter shots into your character. And you have a 3-up invulnerable? I don't really give a fuck. You're going to fail a bunch of saves. And so he did, and that thing died. And so now we're down to 2 Smash Captains and Asterath and the Sanguinor. So I'm like, okay, this is looking all right. But what happened was he was able to very quickly run up his giant guard squad using move, which is a move in the shooting phase. And and then he started charging my stuff and locking all my stuff in the middle. And then it was sort of like this. Then he brought in his other Smash Captains and his other jump pack characters, and they started chewing up my stuff, and there was not a whole lot I could do about it. But I was still scoring points and killing his stuff, and we played the ETC mission, which rewards you for taking out units, and he had a bunch of units to use. His mortars and wyverns did nothing the entire game. So the end of the game, and I played on 2:00, a chess clock for the first time.
Oh, how was
Because
that?
we had to meet our wives for dinner. And so we had to get a game in 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Whew.
So we both had an hour and 10 minutes to play. I actually really liked it.
Huh.
It makes the game, it's like playing, well, I don't know if you ever played Blood Bowl 2:00 before.
I've never played Blood Bowl, period.
That's right, you haven't. Okay, well, Blood Bowl 2:00, it's like 4-minute turns is generally a lot. Some people do 2-minute turns, which is like, oh, fuck, it's crazy. But playing to the clock, the first couple of turns, when you're feeling stuff out and you're thinking about stuff, they take a while, but then it starts falling into place and your turns go really quickly. So I kind of enjoyed it. It was good. We got to 4 turns, and then Mike ran out of time first. And so I got to do my 5th turn without him have to be able to do a turn. And the score at the end of the game was 20-17 Mike.
Ooh.
So it was a very close game. And we did the Maelstrom missions, the Maelstrom ETC mission with hammer and anvil deployment. It was a lot of fun. It was that list is terrible. Terrible as in it's really fucking good and exploitative. But my list of just all Primaris stuff sort of countered a lot of it. So it turned into a little bit of a back and forth game. And I really enjoyed it.
Because, Primaris Marines, the thing they're good at is killing hordes of shitty infantry, and this is hordes of shitty infantry, at least until they get buffed to be a 2-up in cover or whatever.
Right, yeah, and I think I could beat that list if I got some really bad Maelstrom objectives in the beginning of the game, which, it happens. 2, you just have to play keep away from that big, stupid guard squad, and, get it so it's strung out and a bunch of it's not in cover. I think if we had played not hammer and anvil, if we had played regular setup or corner setup or something, I think I could have done a better job. But because I had deployed everything forward and I didn't have space to go to the sides to avoid this fucking thing, when you have if you're going against smash captains and stuff and you don't have, you're not sinking a bunch of points into a knight or something, you want to spread out. And you want to keep your units far away from each other as far as you can so they can't chain a bunch of, multiple attacks. And really, one of the strengths of Marines in general, and especially Primaris Marines, is that you just don't have to use command points that much.
No, you really don't.
You can just sit back
because we don't have good stratagems.
And let the other guy burn through all of his command points, and then at the end of the game, you're like, all right, now I'm going to start using my fight twices, my crazy bullshit, whatever, and you can really get in there and try to win the game. So it was fun. It was a good time.
Not bad. I feel like I'd have a tough time with that because I'm still at the point where I can't really think of Marines as anything but a death ball that just kind of rolls around with a ball of characters and overlapping squads all screening each other and just protecting the Hellblasters and tank in the back. I haven't really figured out any way to spread out and still maintain some efficacy with the army.
Well, most of the units are pretty good on their own, and you can do a lot of fun things with them. A Redemptor on its own, especially if it doesn't move, is just a fucking murder machine with all the shots coming off that thing.
Yeah.
And the Repulsor, now you know the magic of the Repulsor. And I'm so glad that you have joined me in the Church of the Repulsor. Our holy floaty boy.
The Church of the Large Floaty Lad.
Yep. It's like the flying spaghetti monster, but the flying bullet monster.
The flying dock monster.
Okay, yeah.
We'll workshop it.
All right. Well, let's move on to new stuff. And hoo boy, Campbell.
Oh, it happened.
We got a lot to talk about. So let's. I'm going to guide us through the last 2 weeks of new stuff from Games Workshop. And we're going to start with the day after we recorded last time. New Forge World Knights. That's right. New Mechanicus Knights. We got rules for 8th edition. I know our friend Scott Horace Heresy is very excited about these. They're armigers with actually good guns.
I think armigers already have good guns, but they have weirder guns. I think they're cool.
There's a heavy 6 gun that has the shock stuff, so it can you roll 6s and it hits 9 times or something. Yeah, it's really Scott is really excited about it for his super high level competitive lists, and I am not excited about it because I don't have knights, and maybe you are, but I don't know.
I have enough knights.
No, I'm cool.
I already have a very expensive, time-intensive army that I like worked my ass off last Nova or right before last Nova to get to a playable standard that no one wants to play against. I don't need to put more time into it.
So the Necro Enforcers are out. You can get them in stores starting this weekend. They look really fucking cool.
Yep.
And I know a lot of people are excited to play them. The Book of Judgment comes out this week. I know that I'm getting that, and I'm gonna relish taking a look at that and looking at the different the new stuff that we can do. There's a new like black market. There's a new campaign. There's all sorts of new shit that I'm really excited about for Necromunda. War Cry is in stores right now, and
hell yeah, it is.
I got to tell you, bud, as much excitement as I had about War Cry, it has completely waned for me.
I think it's the thing we've talked about week after week. That's like, this looks dope. I don't have time for this. I don't have the mental or emotional real estate to like devote to this sort of game.
Well, it's like Kill Team, but for AOS.
But it's different. It's like, it's got its own thing going on. Like the actual core gameplay sounds really cool.
I was talking with our friend Edwin, who had done a pretty deep dive into Warcry, and I was asking him about the campaign and the progressions and stuff, and he told me that it's not really fleshed out in the rules. Like they clearly went into this thinking of like more of a Kill Team-esque skirmish combat game where things are streamlined and you can play through quickly, which is great for introductory reasons for new hobbyists like Kill Team is. But homeboy, I'm not a new hobbyist.
Yeah.
I'm a old crusty motherfucker, and I want like when I want a small model count game, I want the rules to increase in complexity like Necromunda.
Yeah, I get that completely. I think we have shared this this viewpoint multiple times before. I have some excitement over it because it seems a little different, like mechanically, than a lot of the other typical GW games, which kind of has a little bit of excitement in it for me because it seems kind of more like gladiatorial and a little bit more like mobile than a lot of these small skirmish games can be. Because a lot of Necromunda is like, my guy moves 4 inches, he shoots, he misses. Okay, I'll move him in 25 minutes or whatever, which is like, it's great when it's all like happening together. But, you know, this seems like a really cool, active mobile game. Again, though, you don't see me buying the box set right now. I want to try it. I really want to try it. When I went to a GW store the other day, I was hoping I'd get a chance to try it, but it wasn't all together yet. But not yet.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I hope those models get good rules for Age of Sigmar for when Slaves to Darkness eventually get fleshed out, because right now their rules are garbo. So someday.
I love the models. I think the model line is utterly fantastic.
No, they're dope to a fault. Like every last one of them is pretty righteous.
The terrain looks really good too.
That too. That too.
Like the boxes seems like a really good value, and seems like there's a ton of cool shit in there. But I don't know, man. There's just not a whole lot that's grabbing me in there. But one thing that I am very excited about, they showed at Gen Con, Aeronautica Imperialis.
Oh, God.
Wow, man. Okay.
We've like, talked about this before. I can see my wallet just like vanishing in the distance.
I have told I played a couple of games of Aeronautica Imperialis like 10 years ago, and it was so much fucking fun. And this seems like a streamlined with hexes instead of inches and stuff. Like I very much want to play it. And I think it's going to play a little bit like X-Wing, where you decide your plane's moves and then reveal them and, you know, go in like the dogfighting simulator kind of thing.
Yeah,
and
it would surprise me if it didn't.
But I am so excited. They released pictures of the models that are going to come in the starter set. We've got Imperial planes and we've got orcs. We got Phytobombas. We got Daka jets. We got lightnings. We have Aquilas.
Thunderbolts.
We have Thunderbolts. Like it. Oh man. Like I was okay. I was worried it was going to tie in with Adeptus Titanicus.
It's supposed to eventually.
Well, there's no orcs in Titanicus.
That's true.
But this makes me happy. This makes me happy because it not being in Horus Heresy means you can have orcs, you can have Eldar, you can have Tau, you can have Necrons, and you can have all of the cool flavor from Warhammer 40,000 in the Aeronautica game. And dude, I am really pumped for this. I know I'm going to buy it as soon as it comes out and Probably nobody will play with me, but I'm going to paint up those fucking Imperial planes. I'm going to paint up those Orc planes, and I'm going to find people and force them to play AI with me.
See, I'm really hoping that I can pick it up and Dylan will take the Orcs because, like, that's his thing. And the Thunderbolt is in my like top 3 favorite sci-fi fighter planes of all time, up there with like the Battlestar Viper and the X-Wing. Like, I fucking love that plane. And I want to paint these little ones just the same way I painted my big Forge-World one. And there's also a Marauder in there, and I love the Marauder. Like, when I went to Warhammer World and I saw one in person, I was like, can I fit that in my bag / budget? No, I can't. It's so cool, though.
I love that shit, man. Like,
yeah, all those designs are great.
Yeah,
but if it's handled anything like Titanicus, it's gonna do well.
Oh, I like you can see on the bases that they have for these things, they're hexagonal bases, and there's like a bunch of numbers and sliders and shit on the base, probably for altitude and damage and all that shit. And I'm just looking at it and I'm like, this game, it looks complex. It looks difficult.
My dad game senses are tingling.
Yeah, or I'm not a dad yet, but I'm excited for these dad games.
I'm a cat dad, and I will play cat dad games.
There you go. All right, well let's talk about it. Let's talk about the big
Primaris elephant in the room.
Primaris blue elephant in the room. The new Marine Codex is going to be out in like a week and a fucking half.
I'm sorry, Dan. Not the new Marine Codex. The new Marine Codexes. Or Codices, I suppose.
Right. Fuck yeah. All right. So we got a preview to Gen Con, and they've been posting about it all week on Warhammer Community. We are getting a new Marine Codex. And we're not just getting the new Marine Codex, but all of the first founding chapters, it looks like, are going to get their own supplemental codexes. Codices? Doesn't matter.
Sure.
And first 2, Ultramarines, obviously.
Yep. Who else?
And White Scars.
Which is out of left field, and I'm into it.
Fucking White Scars. White Scars are like they're the Space Marine chapter that if I didn't play Raven Guard, I would play White Scars.
You don't say, Motorcycle Boy.
I mean, this, okay, well, back in the day, and by the day, I mean like 2008, 2007.
That's A-Day.
Like, washes weren't a thing yet. Like, the Citadel washes weren't a thing. And painting white was just a fucking pain in the ass. Like,
yes, it was.
Like, all we had was black primer in these days, and it was...
They didn't invent white spray paint yet. What a time.
They had it, but I didn't fucking know about it. You know, like, I had no idea what the fuck was going on. I remember recently revisiting my old Raven Guard stuff and looking at it and being like, I thought this was good? It's not good. But White Scars are cool as shit, and they're getting their own supplement book. And, dude, like, this release is fucking bonkers. So I'm just going to go through it. And this is like in order of how Warhammer Community has posted it. So we're just going to go through it, okay?
All right. I'll bounce back with pretty much everything because I probably have capital O opinions about everything they put out.
Okay, so Marines are going to get a ton of new rules.
Hell yeah.
Which is great because they were the first codex that came out after 8th edition, and like the codex is extremely dry compared to everybody else. Yeah,
first codex syndrome is strong with these boys.
Yeah. There are new Ultramarines and White Scars dice, and they're both terrible.
Oh, I am very down for those hard to read dice. I think I'm going to get the Ultramarines ones because while they're terrible, they're better than the old ones.
They have symbols on both the 1 and the 6.
And symbols on every other number because they have tactical arrows, elite symbol, fast attack. Like, you just got to remember which the Devastator one is. Hopefully it's the 5. Probably isn't.
Yeah, it's
so down.
I saw these things and it's like, oh, and like the White Scars ones have lightning bolts for the numbers, except for the 2 symbols. It's like, it's bad. They're both really bad. Yep. So have fun with those, fuckos.
Look forward to the Raven Guard ones. I guarantee they'll be out there and they're going to be illegible.
And I'll fucking buy them too because I'm a stupid fucking mark.
It's a different breed of bird on each side. It's like, it's a grackle. That's like a 2, right?
It's a different type of corvid on each side. So you're stuck thinking like, fuck, is that a crow or a raven? What are the different? Oh, fuck. How big is the bill? Is it a heavy bill? Is it a medium bill? Oh, fuck.
And that sound is the chess clock clicking because it is no longer your turn.
So Primaris Tigurius is coming out.
I think It's a nice update to the old mini. He has serious old man face, but I love the banner on his back. I love back banners.
Back
and
banners?
I do them on all my characters
You do?
and sergeants. I'm so happy to have it on him.
He's got a back banner. He's got his old ram skull staff going on. He's got like a dynamic pose. I'm a big fan of him. He's probably going to be crazy powerful like he is in every goddamn edition. So I can't wait to see him on the I was fucking around in Discord earlier, and buddy, I'm excited to only play other Marine players for the rest of time.
It's gonna be wild. It's actually gonna be like interesting.
It's gonna be like
suck it, Horus Heresy. We beat
30K,
you.
but good.
It's Primaris 30K.
Okay.
Oh, except all the Traitor Legions have shitty rules, so it's working as intended. We won, suckers.
Oh, sorry, Rob. Anyways, Primaris Corsaro Khan is
Best
coming out too,
release.
and he's if you want to talk about a cool fucking model, this guy is dope as fuck. One thing, he's not on a bike.
No,
he is on foot
because there are no Primaris bikes.
There are no Primaris bikes yet.
I think
don't.
That's true.
Before anybody freaks out, I don't know anything about Primaris bikes. I don't know a goddamn thing about Primaris bikes. I just said that with a fucking stupid winky face. It could happen. I don't know.
So here's the thing. I think, all right, first of all, I love that he looks like this like barbaric captain with like a fur pelt and everything. It reminds me of like some of the old 2nd edition and even like 3rd edition art. We'd see like these captains and space marines wearing like big cloaks and big pelts and all that shit who aren't just space wolves. They're just like kind of royal looking.
Yeah.
But I think you should convert him to be like a captain for your Raven Guard. You might need to file off some symbols and change the head of the bird to be the correct type of bird. But I think he'd be a very cool Raven Guard captain.
Man, that's a super good idea.
Yeah.
That is a really fucking good idea. Maybe turn that bird from a eagle. Is it double-headed eagle or is it a single-headed eagle?
It's single-headed. It's not a cyber eagle.
Okay, I could turn that into a large raven. That's doable.
You could just stick on one of the bird skulls from the skulls kit and have be like kind of like because it's kind of like a raven skull in the skulls kit, so it could be kind of like a servitor raven thing.
Okay, that's a really good. Thank you. That's a great idea. I'll start thinking about that. But yeah, he's a great model. Very excited that White Scars are getting a fucking supplement. They're also getting an upgrade kit.
Yeah, it looks good. It has a severed head on it.
It looks really good.
It's great.
Here's the question, Crumbo.
Uh-huh.
Does that mean all first founding chapters are going to get an upgrade kit? Because I know your Ultramarines already have one.
We already have one that I
know the non-Codex chapters already have one. And now the White Scars are getting one. Does that mean... Oh, and Fists already have one. Does that mean hands and birds and Sallies and lizards? Are we going to get hands and lizards and birds upgrade kits too?
Oh my. I mean, I figured they're probably going to do 2 of these things a week or whatever, and it'll probably be one with an upgrade kit, one without an upgrade kit. That sounds about right to me.
Well, let's hope my bird bros get an upgrade kit.
I hope so too.
I'm just wish listing at this point.
Maybe it'll be like the Ultramarines one, and you'll be like me and just not buy it.
In news that nobody cares about, the Wake the Dead Lieutenant will be sold on its own.
About damn time. Does it need a 5th one?
So they also previewed new chapter tactics. And this one, the internet got caught on fire about this because the chapter tactics for the Marines, they were okay. You know,
and they only apply to infantry and dreadnoughts.
Nice to have, I guess. But now they apply to everything, and suddenly they're real fucking good.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Ultramarines are the same because theirs was already good. Mm-hmm. But Templars get Here We Go, which is better than their old one, and like a save against mortal wounds on a 5-up, which is like fuck you, early 8th edition smite spam. You're dead and buried now.
Fuck you, Dan's list from 2017 Nova, where I had 3 Primaris Psychers and like 5 Astropaths in the same list and was just smiting everything left and right.
August 2017 won't know what hit it. But yeah, it's an upgrade. It's a flat upgrade.
Yeah,
because they're all you had to reroll both dice. Thing sucked because I'd roll like a 6 and a 1, and I would invariably roll Snake Eyes the second time around, and I actually get to choose which one you roll and everything. It's nice. It's good.
Yep.
It's good, and it applies to vehicles. So here we go, charging rhinos.
Yeah,
Raven charging rhinos. That's my high school mascot. So.
Raven Guard lost the -1 everything, which is a good thing, and I think. And I don't have any inside knowledge here. I think that's how like Elatok and Styges and all this like army-wide -1 to hit stuff. I think it's going to go away. I don't think it's like I don't think it's long for this world. And again, I have nothing to back that up. It is just a feeling. But Raven Guard got, instead of -1 to hit, they're always in cover, which is fun.
Solid.
But
outside 12.
Outside 12. But you can get the -1 to hit if your infantry only models are wholly within or on a terrain feature.
Which is still good.
It's easy to you just move your fucking Marines onto a terrain feature and they're now -1 to hit outside of 12. So it's still good. It's like, and also now your giant vehicles get +1 save all the time outside of 12 inches.
Yeah, which is great.
It's dope. Yeah. But I think the real winners on this were the Iron Hands. Of course, Iron Hands in previous version of 8th edition, like nobody was playing Iron Hands. There used to be a lot of Iron Hands players because in 7th edition, like they were good for some reason. I think it was bike captains with there was something called the Gorgon's Chain, which gave them like a 4-up or 3-up feel no pain. It was stupid. But a lot of
they weren't good. That model was good.
You saw a lot of those in 7th edition. Now in 8th edition, they are getting a big bonus here. They had the 6-up feel no pain. Yeah. That was their thing. So they keep that. And now they get to Overwatch on 5s.
Which is a Dark Angels thing.
Which is a Tau thing.
Oh.
Yeah. And is there one more thing they get to do?
Iron Hands are definitely the Legion I forget exists most often. So search me.
Yeah, they're total dicks, though. So it's okay.
All right.
But yeah, so a lot of winners here. Salamanders are way better. And then they started talking about some of the stratagems. They started talking about some of the different rules that they're going to be applying. They talked about combat doctrines, which are back.
Yeah, those are really cool.
And this
I'm happy
is a
that's
system,
also army-wide for everybody.
Yeah, this is a system that works. You start in Devastator, and then in the next turn you can go to Tactical, and the next turn after that you can go to Assault, but you can't go back. And I'm sure there's a stratagem that lets you go back, but that hasn't been released yet. But what they are is Devastator is grenades and heavy weapons are an additional AP when you're in Devastator Doctrine. Mm-hmm. So your Repulsor with all of its heavy bolter shots are now AP -2 instead of AP -1, at least on turn 1. Pretty fucking good. Tactical Doctrine is rapid fire weapons and assault weapons are an additional AP -1. When you're in Tactical Doctrine. So, bolt rifles in Tactical Doctrine, AP -2.
And then you start thinking about like some of the other combos. You can get like the Veteran Intercessors, and they do like the rapid fire twice thing. You have like 40 AP2 bolt shots coming at you. That's a nightmare.
It's not so great.
No, it's extremely great.
If you're the non-Marine player. And then they were talking about, and then the Assault Doctrine, which is pistols and close combat weapons are AP -1, an additional AP -1.
Reavers are useful on turn 3 at the earliest. Here we fucking go.
Yeah, drop them in on turn 3. Fucking whatever. It doesn't matter. Like it's Space Marines are getting huge army-wide buffs here, and we're both Marine players. Sorry, listeners, but we are, and we're both very, very excited about all of that.
I'm also stoked because its power, it's going to be more powerful for them, but also does reflect the background better and does give some more interest to the player of the army as well, which it's good in all accounts.
Create Your Own Chapter is back, Campbell.
4th edition never ended.
It is fucking 1999. Nope, that's 3rd edition.
It's 2004.
2004. We're back in it. Back in the good old days. I had just graduated high school. And I hadn't ruined my body yet. I had ruined my knees at that point, but the rest of my body was still good.
Okay, I'm not going to comment on my body in 2004, but it was full of pizza, mostly. It was mostly pizza.
75% pizza. So yeah, Create Your Own Chapter Tactics is back. I don't know exactly how this is going to work, but they're showing off some of the options you had for the chapter tactics, and a couple of them look kind of doozy-esque. One of them is Marksman, which adds 3 inches to your ranged weapons. And a lot of people were like, okay, cool. 33-inch bolt rifles, whatever. But your boy, DBZ over here, 11-inch flamers.
Yeah, deep striking flamers suddenly become useful.
Drop pods full of stern guards, all with combi flamers. What's up?
That's back. I remember that from like 5th edition. So break out your 5th ed armies, boys and girls and non-identifying folks. But yeah, break them out.
That is some shit. That like I don't know, man. I don't know. That's probably a bad thing to put in the list. I don't.
Oh yeah,
know.
incredibly.
It's probably like 900 points and it sucks, but who cares? It's fun. So let's quickly talk about the new units and the new models and how fucking excited I am for all this bullshit. Let's start with incursors. Incursors are so infiltrators are going to be a dual kit when they get their own kit, and the other side is incursors. And incursors are another troop choice, which comes with, like, I guess a slightly different gun.
Yeah, and maybe some different, and they don't have the little dingle dongles in the backpacks.
No dongles, slightly different gun.
From what it sounds like, they don't prevent destripe.
But all I saw from this was fucking haywire mines.
I like that. I like haywire mines. They look fun. It's just a big trash can lid they can just throw down and blow up stuff.
They set up traps.
Yeah.
You can set up traps
than infiltrators, though.
You can set up traps on all the objectives. It's fucking fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I just feel like these are even more niche than infiltrators, and infiltrators are already like a slightly less niche version of reverse with bolt carbines, and you kind of have 3 units that kind of do very similar things.
Well, this is a situation that's gonna just completely destroy my wallet, because I'm gonna have 3 units of infiltrators. And now I'm gonna have 3 units of incursors.
Oh, Jesus.
So I'm gonna have 12 units of troops.
So you're gonna have the quadruple battalion?
I'm gonna have the quadruple battalion.
Yeah.
It's gonna be real bad.
Finding somewhere to put all those lieutenants. Speaking of, that Reaver Lieutenant is the second best model of the release.
He's so good.
He's so cool.
He's so fucking good.
I bet he sucks, but he's really cool.
Oh, he's so cool. He's like leaping over terrain about to stab somebody, and there's a smoke grenade. Like, fuck yeah, dude.
He's got the big old skull mask. Yeah, that dude rules.
I'm 100% getting that guy. The Impulsor. Oh my God. Okay. All right. The Impulsor. I'm going to read what I wrote down for this. A smaller hover tank with what looks like a ton of options. Shield dome, anti-air stubbers, missile launcher, or a comms array that calls down an orbital strike. But here's the most important part, Campbell.
I think I know the most important part.
It looks like they took a Rhino, cut it in half crosswise, and then they took a Landspeeder Storm, cut that in half crosswise, and then glued the 2 halves together, the front half of the Rhino and the back half of the Landspeeder Storm. And then they're like, we're going to sell this for $75.
Yeah, it's business in front, intercessors in back. Craig Sniffen said it was a Space Marine El Camino, and I am inclined to concur.
It is, I'm going to be honest, man. I think it looks a little dumb.
I agree. I think once I see it in person, I'll probably be like, this thing fucking rules. I'm buying 4.
I'm sure.
But right now,
like, I'm going to end up with at least 2 of them. I know it, but it's not the most impressive model in this release. However, it seems like it's going to be very useful.
Yes, it is a thing a lot of people have been asking for, to be like a cheaper transport for Marines. It looks kind of small, so I don't imagine it'll be like a thing that carries 10 dudes. I think that's
6. They said 6 dudes.
Yeah, so it's good for like getting aggressors in the front of the field or whatever. Like Repulsor is just the sort of Land Raider stand-in, and I think the Repulsor is like a real showstopper of a model. This thing looks it does look a little cobbled together to me. I'm not super into it, but again, it seems useful. But then again, like we've talked about this before, and I've never been super into the idea of Primaris Marines having a cheap transport to begin with, like a disposable transport. But then again, I don't know how tough this thing is.
Well, I could be way off here, but you don't see a lot of cheap disposable transports in 8th edition. You don't see a lot of Rhinos. You don't see a lot of Chimeras. You don't see a lot of Toroxes. I mean, you see Wave Serpents, but Wave Serpents aren't cheap or disposable. They're super good.
Yeah, you've described 3 out of 4 of my armies right there.
But like I whenever I play my guard, I never use Chimeras. They're a waste of points. They don't do anything.
Yeah, they move and they don't hit a damn thing.
Yeah. So maybe the Impulsor is going to be a lot better than that, but I don't know. I like the meta. Like I'm some fucking meta chaser over here. I collect one of everything is what I do. It just seems like regular troop transports aren't that great right now. Okay, but let's get into what's definitely my bullshit.
Yeah, no, the thing that is dumber than the Impulsor, but it loops back around to being cool.
It's so stupid. It has come around the other side and is now cool. The Invictor Tactical Warsuit.
Yeah, first of all, the name rules. The name rules. It's like the right armor for Mega Man. It's fucking great. I love the name. I love that it's basically the one good part of Avatar, but as a Space Marine model. And like I was seeing it, I'm like, wait, what's that on its hip? It's got a big iron on its hip. It's got this heavy bolter pistol. And then when like the next day they showed a picture of it holding the heavy bolter pistol, I actually was like, I like squealed like a fucking child because I was so thrilled at this ridiculous fucking thing. I love it. I don't know what it can do yet. They posted some of the rules for some of the guns. It sounds like it can shoot a lot of guns and infiltrate and everything.
I'll tell you, because I fucking wrote it down. It's a stealth dreadnought, which those two things are not words that go together at all.
They do not. That is not peanut butter and jelly.
It's a stealth dreadnought. It can infiltrate, so that means it can set up. I think if they said it sets up like infiltrators do, so they have to be 9 inches away from the enemy's deployment zone.
Yeah, but it has like a big flamethrower with like a 12-inch range or something like that.
It does have a 12-inch flamethrower, or it has a like heavy 6 autocannon gun.
Yeah.
It's got heavy stubbers. It's got a power fist or dreadnought fist, and as you mentioned, the heavy bolter
the big
pistol
iron on its hip,
which it can use as a pistol in combat.
The thing is, there already is a heavy bolter pistol. It's called an assault bolter, and Scepters have 2 of them. But they're like, no, this is a different gun.
Well, no, it's a heavy bolter. It's still got that 36-inch range.
Oh,
It just can also be used in combat.
Jesus. I feel like the Dread Knight walked so the Invictor could run. Like, the Dread Knight is like a stupid baby carrier, and this is a beautiful baby carrier.
This thing is the size of a Redemptor, though. Like, there's no way it's not.
It's a stripped down Redemptor.
It's a stealth Redemptor.
And the Marine inside is baby. Yeah.
I love it. I fucking love it.
I love it. It's so
I can't
Warhammer.
get enough of this dumb ass shit.
That thing and the Hover Higgins boat are like perfect. Yeah. Love it.
All right, so infiltrators are getting a kit with incursors, and they can get their own comms array that synergizes with Phobos captains and LTs.
I like that a lot. I like that rule a lot.
A lot of fun. What that means is they can like get the rerolls from Phobos captains and LTs if they're on the board, regardless of where they are.
Because they're the only guys who brought a radio.
Because they got their fucking Bluetooths in. And then eliminators get a kit.
I love the poses on those.
Oh, the pictures of the eliminators they showed. They keep talking about the Las Fusils, but they haven't shown the Las Fusils yet. Mm-hmm. So fuckers, what's going on? I want to see these things.
They're probably gonna be pretty. They got to hold them the same way as they hold the sniper rifles, so they're probably about that size. But
yeah, so I'm like I love already the eliminators that I have. I think they're great. Painting them was a fucking chore, but I think they're great. Their weapons are going to strength 5, which is just wonderful. I really want to see the Las Fusils. The rules for the Las Fusils are interesting. I don't know if I'd call them good because they're heavy 1, strength 8, AP -3, flat damage 3.
Flat damage 3 is good. That's just like that. Those guys are just going to wipe Wasteguard off the table.
Here's the thing: like one shot each, so you're at max doing 9 damage to something. So if you're talking about killing something in one turn, it's good at killing box dreadnoughts. And that's about it.
Infiltrators weren't killing anything in one turn anyway.
Well, eliminators, you mean?
Yeah, them. There's so many ers.
Doesn't matter. I think this is okay. There's no telling if you can. I guess it's not in the line in the data sheet, so you can't shoot at characters with the Las Fusils. Now, if you could shoot at characters with strength 8, AP3, D3 fucking guns,
wrecked.
that would be that everybody would take 9 or 18, whatever the fucking squad size of those fuckers are. Everybody would max that out. It would be terrible. So I really hope they can't do that. So, but it's interesting. It's very interesting. I think that the sniper rifles going to strength 5
that's huge.
Is very good, and we'll see what these Las Fusils do for the eliminators. But I'm pretty excited about both of those options. And then here's the thing I don't like.
All right.
The non-codex chapters are going to get all of this stuff because, of course, they will. And and here's now it's my turn to have a shitty opinion, and I don't really like this opinion, but I feel like the non-codex chapters, they have extra stuff like the Dark Shroud or Wolfen or a Santa Claus sled or a Renaissance statue with an axe and that kills people. Like they have these things that the regular Space Marines don't have. And then they get all the stuff that the regular Space Marines do anyways. And they're always just Space Marines plus one, you know? So
I get that.
I feel like, yeah, GW wants to sell as many kits as possible, so they're going to give all the other fuckos a chance to get all this shit too. But like fuck that, dude. Like that's lame. Like the GW should be leaning into the differentness of the non-codex chapters instead of being like, oh, they're all the same too, but they get better characters with better abilities and cooler shit.
I wonder if Blood Angels have Devastator Centurions yet.
They do, right?
I don't think they do.
Well,
I think that's something they still don't have.
Does anybody give a fuck about that?
No! It's like, I don't think they have the Hunter and Stalker either. Like, remember those? No one else does.
Oh, wow. Well, but this is all the new shit, all the cool shit. Like I feel like they should be doing different things with these armies instead of just making them Space Marines, but better.
I get that. I also get like, hey, you're new to the game. Oh, you want to play Blood Angels? You can't buy this box. Or you can use like half the things in the starter set, not the other half.
I totally get that. This is the worst fucking argument. It's two idiots being like, oh, no, you got a good point. Oh, no, you got a good point.
Well, you're also like, hey, just so y'all know, this is a bad opinion, and I don't like my own opinion, but I'm going to say it anyway.
I feel shitty about it. Like, I feel like I'm like needlessly attacking these players who are doing nothing wrong. They just, are choosing the army that they want to play. And I'm just being like, you guys shouldn't get this. It's bullshit. But like, I fucking kind of feel that way. I feel that they should be leaning into the differences instead of just making, well, not in the case of Dark Angels. Dark Angels are weirdly like Space Marines -1. But for Blood Angels and Space Wolves, like they're just like better than Space Marines. And they've been that way since like 6th edition.
Well, Blood Angels and Dark Angels are Codex chapters with kind of their own thing going on the side. Space Wolves are like the outlier. They're the weird outlier out there. Same with allegedly Black Templars, although who knows what'll happen now. But I don't think it's really, I don't know, whatever, man. Let them have it. Oh, great. They have like 12 troops choices to choose from. They're not going to use them all in one game anyway. You can. You don't have to worry about having Death Company or Wolfguard or whatever. You have a few less choices, but you have different choices. And like, here's me thinking like, yeah, those guys might get the Infiltrators or Eliminators or whatever, but I have Marnius motherfucking Calgar.
Yeah.
They don't got him.
Yeah.
No, I think, they should do more to make those chapters different. I feel like since 8th edition, the differences between like how Space Wolves and Blood Angels and so on integrate the new stuff is kind of, from what I can gather, not that deep. Like, it's not as much as like, oh, we don't have tactical squads. We have Grey Hunters who have this different stuff. It's more just like, oh, we also have Intercessors, but they have a chainsword, I guess. Like, I want them to be a bit more different too, but it's by degrees. It's going to happen by degrees.
I guess you're right. It's just opinion, and it's like it's not anything against the players. Like I said, it's more like, to me, it makes more sense to have these chapters be more divergent.
Oh yeah,
but whatever. I'm not gonna lose any fucking sleep about it. I'll tell you that much. All right. So that's new stuff. There's a lot, listeners. I know the shit at the beginning of the show just keeps getting bigger and bigger. But as we have more shit going on and as new shit comes out, we're just gonna have to go for it. We're just gonna have to go through with it.
I mean, they can't release new Space Marine stuff next week, can they?
Oh, fuck me. All right. Let's get down to We Make Decall, our advice segment. So here's a good one. Okay.
All right.
And a listener named Lee Rees, I think he's from the UK. sent in a very good email with a whole bunch of questions in it. And we're actually going to be using 2 of them in this episode. But here's the We Make the Call question that he brought in. When 8th edition came out, it was great. In my opinion, those early months of Index 40K were some of the best periods of gaming to date due to its accessibility, simplicity, and balance. But now, after a couple years of GW facking and adding rules to mitigate power gaming, along with every man and his dog getting a codex full of additional stratagems, chapter tactics, special rules, and relics, the game is feeling quite bloated again. Similar, but not as much as the dark times of 6th and 7th edition. Do you have any ideas of how we can stop the bloat potentially spoiling our game?
Okay. All right. So Peter Dolan actually shares that same opinion. Like, he loved, the very early days of 8th edition when it was all still pretty straightforward from the indexes. And I personally think it's easy to go like good old days about that because those days weren't very long. Like, yeah, they were fairly dry rules, but they were new rules, and that's exciting. So you got to get to grips with all this stuff, and by the time you've gotten to grips with it, and by the time there might be something resembling a meta, every codex has come out and everything has changed. So we didn't really live in that time for very long, but I'd say it almost is like a naive time, and it's hard to get those times as an adult. Because when I was a kid, and it's oh, there's this whole new world out here of this whole new game, and I can't even comprehend it all. And everything seemed limitless. Yeah, that's an amazing feeling. And this was the closest I ever got to that. I remember the day we got all the 8th edition stuff, it was just a bunch of us hanging out in Dylan's basement, just poring over the rules, be oh, look at this, this is so cool. And that was awesome. And yeah, now you're kind of back in a cycle that is much more standardized and kind of comfortable and not as exciting. But as far as all this overloading bloat goes, I think the difference is the system all these things are built on is much more sound and much more enjoyable than the system 6th and 7th were built on. But I do understand this concern. And I also do have this sort of feeling where, before 3 days ago or whatever they announced all the Space Marine codexes, if I want to rock up and have an army with Marnius Calgar, just a regular codex army and some Vanguard dudes, I was bringing 3 books. And now it's going to be me bringing a codex and a codex supplement for my chapter. So that there is that's going to mean I'm going to have access to maybe a fuckload of stratagems. I don't even know. So yeah, there is definitely that bloat. And you start getting the oh wait, what does that guy do? Oh, he's from the specialist attachment in Vigilus 5, Vigilus Fried Chicken, and he can do this. And I'm just okay, sure, man. You can show me the rule if you want to. And it's easy to get blindsided and you start to lose track of all the shit going on. So that's a very real concern, and I do understand that. And I think GW understands that. They actually play the game, so I feel like they've got to understand that.
So I'm gonna take the heel position on this question. Once again, I'm fucking laying down on the tracks here for this show. Lee, and Peter, because you mentioned him, I think you guys are wrong. And I think you guys are wrong because Index Hammer was eating food without seasoning. It was bland. Every army acted the same way. Some armies had hordes, some armies didn't, but there was only 3 stratagems. There was nothing to really set the armies apart aside from the models, and it was bland. It just wasn't as interesting. And so then we get into the actual codex releases when all the factions start getting fleshed out and they get cool narrative abilities and they get cool stratagems and they get fun mechanics. And every army is very different now.
Increasingly different too with each passing release.
And I think that is a good thing. If you take Index Hammer, Tyranids and Imperial Guard look very similar. You got a lot of small bugs who are just running around doing shit, and then you got a lot of big bugs who are the actual damage dealers. Same thing in Guard. You got a lot of shitty guys running around, but then you got a lot of big things, a lot of tanks who are the actual damage dealers, right? And where the difference is I guess Tyranids do a lot of their damage in combat, where Guard does all their damage in shooting. but still the army construction and the way everything works is very similar. I don't think that's a good thing. I think that is bland. It's lame. It's not anything to get excited about. I understand that the rules for Index Hammer were a lot simpler, and it was a lot easier to match up two factions because there was minimal difference between the two. But I think it's much better now that we've got completely different armies. And yeah, some armies are going to get fucking dumpstered by different armies. Like Dark Eldar with a butt ton of fucking disintegrators is still going to cause a lot of problems for any Primaris army, which is, what we both have. And I've had experiences where I got Nova last year, my first game. I got tabled on turn fucking 3. You've played Cody, your friend, who has Dark Eldar, and you've gotten tabled by him too. Like, yeah, sometimes you just run into a bad fucking matchup. I played a game against Mike Brandt with his like ETC fucking maxed out bullshit list, and I had a good game against him because my list was kind of a hard counter to that without me trying to make it that way. But it was just like, this is going to be really hard for you to do damage to my guys. And it turned out to be a totally fun game. So yeah, there is going to be more chances for bad games, but I think there's going to be more chances for good games too, instead of all games doing kind of the same thing. So I disagree with the idea that Index Hammer was better. And yeah, there's a ton of rules out there. But for the most part, if you know your rules and you know the core rules, you can still get out there and have a good time. So Lee, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm taking the negative position on your question. Like, please keep listening. Please keep writing in. I hope this can like spark some sort of discussion and not like make you think that I'm an asshole or anything, because I'm not trying to be. But I think you're wrong on this one, and I'd love for you to email us back again and talk to us some more about it.
I would say that you need to really ask your opponent what their stuff does before a game if you don't know at this point, because you won't just know. In Index Hammer, you would just know because there wasn't really that much. There weren't that many moving parts. Now there's a lot more. And yeah, I get the, it was cool. Now it's a lot cooler, but it's very different.
Now, I do understand when 8th edition came out, like we can look at it a couple years ago with some rose-colored glasses because everybody's like looking through these indices and seeing all the new stuff and seeing how everything translates from 7th to 8th and looking at their stuff and being like, oh, that thing sucks now, or oh, that thing is really cool now, and all that. And that's a lot of fun. I remember that period too. I look back on that period because it was right before Nova and everybody's freaking out about, oh, we're going to go to Nova. What are we going to bring? What are we going to do? And it was like very active time in the hobby. But like I remember that, and I remember that being good, but I honestly think the game is better now.
I would agree. And Dan, can you imagine a big book release right before Nova fucking everything up? So before we move on from We Make the Call, I have a correction that was sent in by Shane Dupois, who says, "Hey guys, first of all, love the podcast. Keep it up. I just listened to the most recent episode, and just so you know, orcs do have dicks. I've read the Space Wolves Omnibus, and it states that Ragnar gets pissed on by an orc who didn't see him hiding in the bush he was pissing on."
Okay. All right. Well, you heard it here on the 40K
William
Badcast.
King wrote that book, so
orcs have dicks.
Hey, I would feel like I was not doing my due diligence to pass that information on to not just you, but to our entire listener base, who were really still wondering weeks later, what orcs got going on down there?
Well, we did entitle an episode, I've seen a lot of orc taints, or I've painted a lot of orc taints in my day. I don't even fucking remember. But yeah, okay. Well, orcs, dicks, cool.
They got
Thanks,
Shane,
for that. All right, well, let's move on. We're going to get into our first segment here. And Campbell, you wanted to lead this segment, and you suggested we go down this road, and we're going to talk about gatekeeping in the hobby. So please, take it away.
Yeah, this segment is titled "Gatekeeping in the Hobby." No, not the Cadian Gate. So, I know.
Okay.
I know. Well, if you got a more succinct one, please throw it out there.
Gates of Infinity. I don't. Okay. All right.
You know, like the gate.
You made an effort.
Yep.
And I appreciate that. And I appreciate you.
Oh, why, thank you. Well, like the Cadian Gate, I want to obliterate gatekeeping. So consider this sort of like a soft sequel to our How Not to Be segment in episode 32, except it probably won't get quite as heated. So gatekeeping is the act of limiting access to something, which is, in this case, the hobby. So in this context, it's often done by members of the community who want to keep people out or keep themselves in, usually to feel like they're part of an exclusive club, or, you know, it might take some sort of elitist sort of angle. If you think of like the "you can't sit with us" scene from Mean Girls, and you're basically there. But a lot of the time, this isn't even intentional. Like, a lot of people have these kind of coded ideas like, oh, you're not a real gamer unless you X. Like, you're not a real Warhammer player unless you've been playing since 5th edition. You're not a real, you know, Warhammer player unless you've painted an army or whatever. And I see that a lot more in like the video game community, but there's, what do you know, a lot of overlap between the video game community and the hobby community.
What do you know?
And yeah, what do you know? But there are also some extra personal gatekeepers that aren't down to people, such as cost or accessibility, you know, whether it's physical accessibility or just proximity and so on. So I have seen, you know, and I'm going to talk about a bunch of examples of gatekeeping I've seen in this hobby, but it does not mean this is a bad hobby. Like, I've been here a long time, so I've seen a lot of shit, but I've also just as often seen more often seen enormous kindness and welcoming people here. So as of late, the thing that actually kind of sparked me towards having this conversation is I've seen a lot of elitism around contrast paints. Like, a lot of people saying it's cheating, or it like doesn't count, or it's for people with no skill. And, well, motherfucker, I've been painting for 20 years and I'm using contrast. Like, I've been at this a while and I'm happy to use this tool. But you'll see a lot of people like bitching and moaning about it a lot of time on like Facebook comments or on godforsaken forums that no one should spend any more time on or what have you. Have you seen that around?
I certainly have. I actually remember it when the washes came out, like when Bad Black came out. People were upset at people for using the washes. And like now, I can't imagine anyone painting without washes. Like it is just a part of the hobby.
Absolutely. It's like denying yourself access to this tool is only hurting yourself. But it's like there's a lot around painting specifically, because while you'll usually have people who are very happy to, you know, give you constructive feedback, you'll still get people who will say shitty things like, "Oh, that model sucked, throw it in the garbage," which that doesn't help anybody. Like, whenever you have the opportunity to knock someone down and you could help them up instead, helping them up instead is the thing that's going to bring them into the hobby and make them, you know, more invested and more involved. Like,
well, I think part of that is also like painting, and I am 100% guilty of this. I'll say this before I even get into it. But I think painting, people get their egos wrapped up in their painted models.
Absolutely.
And I've done it where I've gotten pissed about criticism on my models before. I remember when I finished the Astreus, I posted it on the Something Awful forums, and like people said like very innocuous criticisms of it, and I was like, "Rah!" Now, like, I was probably crazy because I spent a month painting that thing, but it's still like I shouldn't have done that. I was being a fucking dickhead. But people get so attached to their projects, and then they see somebody who, you know, might not be as good as them or might be new to the hobby or something, and all they can think of is, you know, oh, this was a lot harder when I started, and my stuff looked way worse at this point in the hobby life cycle, and that makes me mad.
Yeah, and there's the whole thing. It's like, you're not a real painter if you have been suffering as long as I have. But there is an elitism around a bit of painting though. Like, you know, I remember proposing, like when I was a teenager, this was shitty of me. I proposed a preferred enemy unpainted models rule for my group. Yeah. And I had a friend in that group who had like, he couldn't see out of his right eye. He could not paint. And he had like a hand issue. Like, he couldn't paint. And I'm like, that sucks. Like, I'm surprised he didn't leave the group. Like, but he stuck around and he started getting models commission painted instead. And again, I was like 17. So I was like, oh, he didn't even paint those models. And then a friend of mine was like, dude, he's trying. And I was like, yeah, you're right. He's a friend of mine. I shouldn't be shitty like that. And that's the sort of thing. Like, there's a lot of that sort of latent elitism, and there's a lot of ways we can kind of curb that. But
well, I mean, that's like, there are people with disabilities who want to play Warhammer. Like, I have a friend who has nerve damage in his hands, and so he can't. He has a lot of trouble doing fine motor skills, right? Mm-hmm. So painting is unfortunately beyond him. Now he does get his stuff commission painted, and it all looks great. But like we've got to understand that Like not everybody has time or the money or the ability to invest things in like growing as a painter or becoming a better painter or something. And that's something that we should keep in mind when we are meeting new people and playing games with new people and playing different armies and stuff. Like, just because somebody doesn't sink, a week's worth of work into a single intercessor squad like I do, and this 3-stage edge highlighting on every fucking black panel possible, like, it doesn't mean that their army is not as good or not as cool or not as worthwhile as mine. I like seeing 2 fully painted armies play on the board. It's one of my favorite things about this hobby is when you get 2 beautifully painted armies on the board. But not everybody can do it.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing.
No, that's okay. Like, I have friends who paint really slowly, and I will, instead of being like, your guys suck, you should paint, it sucks, your army isn't painted, I should just like, and I'm insulted that they're killing my painted models. Like, no, man. Oh, that's cool. Like, that bit you did paint, like, how'd you do that? And I try to like help along that sort of thing, because again, like, raising people up is much better than tearing people down.
Do you know how angry I get when I see, okay, I'm going to tell you something. All when right. I saw your repulsor for the first time, my initial thoughts were not positive.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was upset because, well, one, you created something very beautiful in a relatively, at least to me, short amount of time. And that's not something I can do. And especially because of all the crazy shit that's been happening in my life recently, my hobby progress has been stunted big time. Mm. And so as soon as I saw that, my first feelings were of jealousy. Or I should say envy, rather, of envy. Mm. Because I was like, well, I want another repulsor. I want to paint things like this. I want to have time to paint. So you work from home and you have more time to work on projects like that. But I was for a couple minutes, I'm not going to lie, I was salty. Oh. But I'm telling you this now after the fact, because what I told you was how much I love your repulsor.
Yeah, because you're salty then sweet, like a Sour Patch Kid.
Sour Patches aren't salty.
Well, they're sour than sweet. I guess that's true.
No, like, but like that's
good
the point.
Old
like,
salt and sour sauce.
There's a lot of people that we know in our group of listeners and friends and whatever. They paint beautiful things, and I see them, and I'm just like, fuck, dude, like that's awesome. Like that's so much better than me, and I'm like, fuck, it's better than me, fuck. But like, we got to get over that shit. You got to get over it and be like, all right, you know what? I've got my hobby. I'm going to do my hobby, and I'm just going to be positive and uplift the people around me.
Yeah. Yeah, because everyone's doing their own thing, and that's awesome. But it isn't just about painting, though, because there's like a lot more around it than just painting. Like, all right, I'm going to call it something very specific, but I see a lot of Tau hate. And I have contributed to this. I'm very much aware of this.
I'm so guilty of this.
But like, I've heard of people being bullied out of the game because they're like, oh, Tau look cool. And a bunch of people like just piled on them and were like, no, they suck. You suck for choosing them. And like, you know what? I will say I have not enjoyed playing most games against them. But if they're an army that speaks to you, fucking go for it. Like, no one should tell you otherwise. And yeah, that's like, I feel like a fair warning of like, oh, just so you know, like this army, like some people, have a hard time playing against it or whatever, or you might want to kind of avoid some of the certain builds that are extra, unfun to play against. But like, there's a lot of Tau hate, and specifically, and man, it's if people like it, and that's fucking cool.
I'm so guilty of Tau hate. Like I on this program, I've talked shit about Tau probably innumerable times. Oh yeah. And to think, we got an email about this a while ago. If you remember, a listener.
Yep.
A listener was like, "Why do you guys hate Tau so much? Why are you guys always talking shit about Tau?" And this makes me feel bad because of the choices I've made and the army I'm doing it. Makes me not want to work on my projects and something. And I felt terrible reading that email.
We just got an email about someone who wanted to get into the game. It was like, I'm looking at Tower and Dark Angels, and people keep saying bad things about them. And I wrote back to him, and I was like, just do whatever makes you happy. Like, some people will be shitty, but do what makes you happy. Find your bliss, man.
Yeah. And like, if I were to chase someone out of the hobby, I would feel so incredibly shitty.
Yeah.
Because this should be like a joyous thing that people are spending their time on and like finding a lot of happiness in this hobby, in playing the game, in painting, in putting together the miniatures, and in the relationships that you build through the hobby. Like, it should be a joyous thing. Mm-hmm. And when you come up to the gaming store or come out to the tournament or the event or whatever, and you put your Tau army down on the table and people start immediately skewering you about your choices. Oh, it sucks. And I've been guilty of it. But I'll tell you what, Campbell, I'm not going to fucking do it anymore.
Same.
And Tau players, I love y'all. Like, get out there, continue to wreck my shit in games with all your wonky fucking rules and your stupid fucking drones. Like, just do it. Just kick our asses, have fun with it, laugh at our stupid fucking faces when all of our shit dies. Lean into it. Have fun.
Like, again, this reason we want to tear down gates here is because there's room in here for everybody. But I also do want to make it clear that everybody should be welcome here, because there is a push from vocal but small, shitty parts of the community who don't want to see women, people of color, or differently abled characters in the setting, and they will often extend that to those same types of people in the real world. And, yep, just putting on my old social justice warrior hat right there. Fuck those guys. Like, you should have like have understanding for people and just let them on in. And like, I will say, like, one of my points later, like, this isn't all doom and gloom. I do have like some nicer points further down, but in response to this one, like, I feel like giving people the opportunity to grow and change is very important in this, because just because someone says something shitty once, like, you should talk to them about it. You shouldn't instantly, like, lynch mob them. Just,
yeah, I think we're getting better at it as a group, though.
Yeah, like, I think we're also getting better
as a hobby,
as
as a community. Yeah. I think we're getting better. I remember back in like college, man, like when I gave a shit about metal. Oh, I'm like cringing thinking about myself in these times. But I had so many goddamn opinions about like who was right and wrong in metal.
Oh yeah.
And it was such a fucking waste of time. These negative feelings, these negative emotions are such a waste of time. You don't have to get mad at somebody for doing something different, or using contrast, or playing an army you don't like, or fucking whatever. Like, it's just such a waste of fucking time.
Yeah. Well, I guess that was me, honestly. That's still something I still struggle with pretty regularly. Like, when it comes to video games, like, I have a friend who their way of playing Skyrim is to play the first 15 minutes over and over again, just because they love creating a character and creating a name. And they, it's just, so every so often I'll hear finally awake, and they make a new character, and that's all they do. And they just go through the first dungeon. They don't touch the character again for 6 months, and they just do it again.
That's fucking rad though, dude. That's fun.
That's the thing. At first I was like, you have this big world, you got to explore it. And now I'm like, you know what? If that's what makes you happy, fucking go for it. Like, same with people who use cheat codes in games. As long as it's not a competitive game and you're against people who aren't consenting to using cheat codes, like, whatever way you want to play. If you want to play Final Destination No Items, be my guest. That sounds great.
There is one gatekeeper I do support. And that's Kelly Klein, who is, I believe, the champion of Ring of Honor Wrestling Promotions women's division, Women of Honor. And her nickname is the Gatekeeper, and she kicks a lot of ass. So
here's the thing. I don't think you need to support her. I think she can just like caber toss you.
I wouldn't mess with her, man. She's her other nickname is the Pretty Badass. She's pretty badass. So
solid
wrestling. Hey, did you know that I got tickets to the first ever AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite taping on October 2nd at the Capital One Arena? Because I fucking did, and Chaboy is excited.
I'm jealous. That sounds like a blast.
Fucking wrestling shows rule, dude.
That's the thing I still need to get in on. I've been to a monster truck show. I've not been to a wrestling show yet.
Okay, please continue. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
All right. And I think this is probably like, again, there's innumerable gatekeepers. I got probably like 2 left. One is just game groups, because like, and this can be a formal game group. This can just be the folks you regularly meet at a game store. This can just be the people you happen to run into at a con. But some game groups can be very insular. and very cold to newcomers, and they won't give them a game. Like when I tried with a group when I first came to Boston that I'd heard about, I came into the store and I was like, hey guys, I want to get a game. And the guy was like, and everyone's like kind of just giving me the cold shoulder, like fairly literally, just, I mean, whatever, I'm a kid, but I was 18. And this one guy's like, I'll play you. Do you have a list? And I show him my list, and he goes into the corner, he builds a hard counter. I had like mostly Terminators. He goes in the corner, he builds a list with 3 Vindicators. He tables me turn 3 and then gloats about it. And I never went to that game group again.
Yeah, that fucking sucks.
Yeah, and it's a real great way to get me into the group, guys.
Yeah, really, really welcoming. Thank you.
Yeah, and you know what? Yeah, that was at Pandemonium, the store I've shit on multiple times on this show. So there you go. What goes around comes around.
Yeah, fuck you, Pandemonium.
Fuck you, Pandemonium Books and Games, and the foul stench you have in your basements. So the last one I've got here is the one that is not controlled by people, and that is this hobby. It ain't cheap. Nope. Like I do occasionally, like there's a whole subreddit called Poor Hammer, which is kind of self-digging there. But like there's no shame in proxies or making your own things. And this is where I'll start to get into some actual solutions here. Because like I've seen people like get shamed over proxies or shamed over, I'd never seen shamed over like good scratch builds. But like this hobby is expensive, and you've got to be mindful that not everyone has the means to really buy the latest $35 Primaris captain or whatever.
Right.
But you might be able to help them build their own captain by giving them some bits and like maybe leftover body you've got, or pointing their direction towards something that they can do to, build something for the cheap. Or like, if they have a guard army, but they don't have like multi-part Cadian models, they have like the push fit guys who are all one pose, or they have like Mantic or some insert third party manufacturer here models they're using instead. And like they're trying their best probably. And if they're trying, just don't give them shit. Like, again, this is an expensive hobby, and it's a hobby. Like, we're choosing to be here, and a lot of people want to get to the table, and not everyone might have the means to do so. So you should try to help people in whatever way you can, whether that is by pointing them towards easy proxies or sharing your bits box with them, or maybe even like splitting expensive boxes and being like, oh, you only want these guys? I'll take the rest. Here you go. Just give me $5 or whatever. So let's move on to some of the actual ways to fix this.
Okay.
Because this is a whole bevy of problems, but they're honestly mostly fixed by being accepting and patient. Like, provided people aren't being like actively threatening, you can just be accepting of them and just take your time. Like, let people enjoy the hobby the way they want. If they want to play beat face lists or casual lists or paint to a heavy metal standard or paint to a finger painting standard, whatever, like, let them. And I don't think that's controversial. A regular thing that I have run into is like a lot of minor exclusionary language. And I'm not here to like police everyone's language here. Like, we swear so fucking much in the show that it makes both of our dads very upset.
They hate it.
But when you like someone saying like, oh, that's gay, or I just raped your orcs or whatever, like that shit will turn away a lot of people. Like that will like even those two examples like will turn away a lot of people, and a lot of people who might have wanted to enjoy the hobby, and make a lot of other people who might still be there super uncomfortable. So just like calling out when people are doing things that would make people uncomfortable is very important, I think, if we want to make this kind of a more welcoming place for everybody. And like, yeah, if it's just two people who are just like, who just like just fucking savagely dunking on each other, like Rob and Greg, if they just are in the comfort of their own home, just like dunking the shit out of each other, fucking let them have at. Like, that's their own business. Like, that's cool. They're not hurting anybody. They're having a grand old time, but not everyone's down with that. And like, especially if you're playing like an unfamiliar person and you're like, you like doing some trash talk or whatever, just like ease into it. Some people take that trash talk as an insult. Others will pick up what you're putting down, and you'll have a lot of fun with them. Yeah,
everybody, let's just platinum rule this thing. Platinum rule, of course, is treat others the way they want to be treated. And just do that. Keep that in mind. And I think we'll have ourselves a better community. And again, I think we're doing better on this as time goes on. You don't hear as much misogynistic or homophobic language as you used to in game stores or at events or at games or whatever. So I think we're on the right track. Yeah, I think like things are trending towards good. And I think we're in a good place, and we could be in a great place. And I'm like, I want this hobby to be as enjoyable for as many people as possible, because this hobby fucking rules, and I want to share it with the world. Yeah. Well, let's move on and talk about something I think that will be a little easier for people to swallow for the most part. And we're going to talk about our favorite and least favorite models in the hobby right now. So this is also from Lee Rees, and so
Thanks
Lee,
for the show, Lee.
Yeah, so Lee, you're killing it right now. You're doing a great job. I know I disagreed with you earlier. I hope that doesn't ruin your enthusiasm for the show because you are carrying us right now. So we're going to talk about our 3 favorite and 3 least favorite models right now, but there are limitations on this, Campbell.
Yes.
Because if we could just pick any old model in the hobby, all 6 of our picks would be old hammer, old pewter models that either suck ass or kick ass.
Or the Razor Gore.
and that would be it.
39 hogs right there, yeah.
Like it, and then nothing would come of it. People would be like, "What the fuck minis are these guys talking about?" And it wouldn't be interesting. So
I also feel like there'd be a lot of nostalgia being tied in there, and I want to try to see this without too many rose tinted glasses.
Yes. So I made a limitation that the models we pick have to be multi-part plastic kits.
Right.
So
the only thing I've got for this is, for the purposes of this segment, I consider the Catachan Troop Squad to be a layup, and I consider it off limits.
Okay, I don't have that.
Good.
However, I think they're awesome, but that's just me. So let's get in there.
The best single head in all of Games Workshop's plastic production,
and you've proven it. Okay,
multiple times.
Let's get into it here. I'm going to go first with one of my favorites, and I'm going with the Humble Carnifex as one of my favorite models in Games Workshop. These things rule. They've ruled for a long time too, and now you can buy them in groups of 2. And they are effective on the battlefield. They've got all the weapon options around. They look so cool. They look like hulking destruction machines. I love them.
Remember when they were the biggest Tyranid model?
I do remember when they were the biggest Tyranid. Now they're like a medium Tyranid model.
Yeah, back in the Nidzilla days, they were the biggest thing before Trigons and shit happened.
Yeah, I absolutely love the Carnifex. I think it's great. I think it's still great. I love seeing them on the table. I mean, Nids are one of the most fun armies to play against, just bar none. I love playing against Nids.
Yeah, I love that Starship Trooper shit.
All right, so what you got?
Well, my first is a Xeno kit too, actually, which is the Orc Knobs, not the Meg Armor Nubs, which are great, but the regular on-foot Orc Knobs.
Yes.
It was like, all right, I'm getting my one nostalgic one out of the way here. This was the first kit I built where I was genuinely blown away by the variety of bits available and just how versatile the kit was. Because you can make a stripped down squad of knobs that would look at home in like a Snakebites army. Or you could do like a bulked up, armored, and heavily armed squad that looks flash as hell that would work in a Flash folks, or
just say freebooters. Just say freebooters.
Yeah, a freebooters army.
Freebooters.
A good old pewter freebooters. But Jesus. But they'd be great for either of these things. But you could also you can make them into a bunch of bulked up knobs for your boys squads. Or you could just do a big old knob squad. Like, it is a useful kit that is still looking great 12 years later and can still be swapped with all the other, like, the actual Flash Jits kits. Like, they can be swapped with them. They can be swapped with the regular Orc Boys. You can move things around with the Mega Knobs, too. You can do so much with this very, like, at this point, very old 12-year-old kit. And it still looks fantastic.
Good answer.
I had to have one in there.
Okay, I'm going to give you a least favorite.
Okay.
The Calidus Assassin.
The plastic one.
The plastic Calidus Assassin.
All right.
So as many of our listeners know, I recently painted a Calidus Assassin, but I didn't fucking paint the plastic one. I went on eBay and bought an old intact blister of a metal Calidus Assassin because I cannot stand the Calidus Assassin. Well, okay, I can stand it. It's fine. Fucking, it's a toy. It doesn't matter. But I don't like it, and I didn't want to use it because it's got this dumb crucifix pose where it's like falling onto this piece of rubble, and her hair is going everywhere, and it just looks bad to me. I don't like it, and I didn't want to use it, so I didn't.
Nope, that's fair.
What you got?
All right, well, keeping it imperial here, the plastic Contemptor Dreadnought. Because it is an incredible forge roll design that had so much posability and so many options, and they turned it into the most two-dimensional model since second edition. And it is on here not because it necessarily looks terrible on its own, but because it is such a downgrade from its predecessor. And unlike the Valkyrie or Drop Pod or Trigon, which took existing Forge World kits and made them more accessible, easier to work with, and gave them more options, it dumbs down a great design and removed almost all its weapon options to boot.
And almost all of its flavor, too. It's
very bland.
So boring.
I still have one more in Shrink from some prize. I've gotten 3 of them, and I think 2 were prize support.
Yeah, I have one too. But I have the Forge World Raven Guard Contemptor that I made, which is 100 times better.
I'd say that's comparatively gorgeous. Like, that is the standard they can reach to. When they turn one material into plastic, it's always an upgrade with, like, the sole exception of the plastic Contemptor Dreadnought.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to move on.
What do you got for a Pazio one?
Okay, so this one I couldn't decide, so it's 2, but they're characters, so it kind of counts as 1.
Okay.
Well, we're calling it. I'm calling it.
Sure, why
it's
not?
the Primaris Librarian and the Primaris Chaplain. I think
choices also.
Not the Phobos Librarian. The Phobos Librarian is okay. On the table, he's amazing, but he's okay as a model. I think the regular Primaris Librarian is so fucking cool. And the Primaris Chaplain, who sucks on the table, maybe he's going to be better in the new Codex, we'll see, but he sucks. I think that model is fucking dope as hell. I love their cloaks.
Yeah.
I love their stances. I love how they're both doing something. Like, the models aren't just standing there, they're doing something. Like, I think they're fantastic. They're imposing, they're big, and I love them.
I'm really hoping to get that Reaper-looking motherfucker sometime soon. That is such a nice mini.
It is. All right, go ahead.
Well, instead of a mini, I went for a maxi here because I'm putting down the Imperial Knight kit. Because that thing, it is such a beautiful reimagining of the Epic version.
Yes.
And it is this modern, recognizable icon of Imperial Might. And it is, like, it's super detailed, but it is still a blank canvas, like, paradoxically, because you can do so much with heraldry or designs or weathering or what have you. And just from this one kit, like, this one kit that almost looks like it could work paradoxically for an Imperial thing. Like, it's got all these, like, pistons. Like, there's so much detail.
Way too heavy.
Oh, no, it's sink into the earth. It's like how Godzilla couldn't actually live because no creature could, like, the bones wouldn't be able to hold him up and he would just sink into the earth. But it's so fucking cool looking, and it dictated the look for an entire range that built off it in other ways, some of which, like the Chaos range, have gone in some, like, really neat ways.
The Chaos Knights look so cool.
Like, I would say the Chaos Knight, whatever
Listener
it's called.
Ben
like,
Hughes showed us a picture of his recently constructed work in progress Chaos Knight, and it's awesome. The models are just so fucking good.
Yeah, like the Chaos Murder Death Kill Knight might be cooler, I think, objectively as a model than the Imperial, like, regular good guy Knight, but that is such a foundational piece of, like, the Imperial aesthetic, and it looks so fucking cool, and it's so fun to paint. Yeah, that's why I did it like 4 times.
All right, well, let's move on to a model that we don't like, and I'll start. And this one might hurt you, but I just want to put this out. This one might hurt you, specifically you.
Okay, I'm girding myself.
Box dreads.
Oh, no! I love my beautiful dishwasher boys!
Box dreads are... Okay, they used to be fine, whatever, back in the old days, but now that we have Redemptors, Stealth Redemptors, Contemptors, the fucking Adeptus Mechanicus Walkers, the Wraith Knight, the Knights, the Armigers, all the different types of walkers in the game, box dreads need to go. They are boring, they are terrible, and even like the quote unquote cool, like Blood Angel and Space Wolf box dreads, no, I don't like them.
What do you think about, like, the Mark V ones that Forge World did, where it's got the Contemptor style head, but it's only a little bit bigger?
They did a pretty good job with those.
Yeah.
But that's not a plastic kit.
You're right. You're correct. I love me some box dreads. I am hurt.
Sorry, bud, but they suck.
It's okay. I will be cuddling my tiny square children in the corner after we're done recording here. Well, I got one that I think you will agree with, which is Centurions. I think I've complained about them before in a very similar segment, but they fill it, like, in the range, they fill a niche that I didn't think needed filling and now has been better filled by aggressors who took a very similar concept and made it way cooler. But like their proportions look super wonky and weird, and they don't look dangerous or tough. They look kind of like those guys wearing like padding when they're training attack dogs. Like they look like you could just like kind of cow tip them and they just fall over and they wouldn't be able to get back up. And like contrary to the Knight where it almost looks like it could work, I cannot picture how a Centurion would work. Like, I don't know where the dude's arms go. I remember there was some piece of art at the time someone posted where they've got their arms crossed over their chest like a pharaoh, but then you're just picturing a bunch of dudes like walking around stiffly, like having to lift their legs really high because their giant power pants are very starchy, and they've got to have their arms crossed across their chest, and that looks so stupid. And even their helmets are dumb. Like, and they get worse when you get the assault ones where they've got these giant drills under their fists that are bigger than their fists. Like similar to how the Dread Knight walked so the Warsuit or whatever could fly or run, whatever metaphor, who gives a shit. These things were there so aggressors could like kick their ass and be a much cooler take on a very similar concept.
Okay. I kind of think the gun ones are cool, but whatever.
Okay. All right. But I didn't think, from the sound of your lack of reactions, I'm like, maybe he just doesn't have the same fire. Maybe he's tired. Maybe he doesn't agree.
I've seen some people do cool things with them.
They look better in some schemes, but I do not care for them.
They're not great. I'll give you that. They're not great. I wouldn't put them anywhere near the top of any list, except for a list of toilet miniatures. But
which we're on right now.
All right. Well, let me get to my favorite miniature then.
All right.
And this I will confidently say this is my favorite miniature that Games Workshop produces.
Okay.
It's the Death Dread, the Orc Dreadnought. I absolutely love this model. I remember when it came out, man, and I was like, why the fuck am I not playing orcs? These things fucking rule. They got all sorts of arms. They got that big fucking faceplate on them.
They do, the big old gob.
They got the big fucking exhaust coming out the back. I love these things, man. I think they're so cool.
I think they're cool. I like the old metal ones better, actually. The ones that came right before them. I like that design better.
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
Oh, I don't like building them. God, no, but I like the way they look.
Oh, you like them better?
Yeah.
I hate you.
It's a different orc aesthetic. It's a slight different orc aesthetic. It's a little less cartoony. It's a little more gritty. I like the look of the other ones.
Wait.
Yeah.
The old metal can Death Dread is less cartoony than the current Death Dread?
The third, fourth edition one. Not the second ed one where it had like a goofy little orc sticking his head out the top. Like the one that's like a big like slab of metal with a bunch of rivets all over it and like one little Cylon viewing slit.
I was going to ask what you're smoking, but I know you're not smoking anything because you're a tiny baby weenus. So what
I have smoked many a weed in my time.
What the
I think
fuck,
a lot
Campbell?
of it comes down to there was a Victoria Lamb diorama of a seraphim like flaming one of them, and it looked extremely cool and I loved the way it looked. And also this the one from Dawn of War, and that's kind of just I love watching those things stomp around. God. But you and I clearly have very different opinions on stompy walkers, like walkers that probably can't walk realistically but can stomp around pretty convincingly in a 15-year-old video game.
Ugh. You've ruined this episode.
Won't be the first time I've ruined an episode.
All right, give me your favorite.
You might have gleaned it from me talking about earlier in the show, but Marnius motherfucking Calgar, the new plastic one.
Yeah.
Like, his face is incredibly detailed.
Yeah.
His pose is like, it's nice and open so you can see everything, but it pays tribute to like the ones that came before without being quite as flat. He's got so much detail, but still enough open spaces that you can express yourself and add transfers and freehand. He's got so many textures. He's got paper, he's got leather, he's got cloak, he's got ammo feeds, he's got gun barrels, he's got power armor. Like, he is such a good fucking model. He is why I'm doing Primaris Ultramarines. Not because of Gilman, but when they showed this dude, I was like, there I fucking go. I've got it. I had already started painting Primaris Intercessors in red to be Blood Ravens. When I saw that model, I was like, nope, broke out the McCragg blue, slapped it over him. There's my first squad Intercessors for Ultramarines. The fact that he comes with two extremely cool, like, cloaky boys who have, like, the Horus Heresy boarding shield and Gladius sort of look.
Shanks.
So fucking nice. No, Marnius Calgar, absolute blast to paint. I have loved every minute of painting him, and I cannot wait to put him on the tabletop. I love this mini. Absolutely.
I think it's great. I think you're spot on with old Primarnius there. All right, I'm doing it. I'm doing my least favorite Games Workshop model right now.
Let's sync the posse here.
The Tau Storm Surge.
The weapon to surpass Metal Gear?
Yes, the giant gun, but more importantly, the open topped cockpit.
God forbid it rain.
Oh God, what a stupid fucking model. I'm sorry, whoever designed that model probably put a lot of work into it, and is undoubtedly a nice human being. But fuck that model, man. That model sucks. It's got this dumb squat pose where it looks like it's about to take a dump, shoot its power converter right out of its ass, and then it's got this stupid fucking giant gun and no arms. And then to top it off, the two dudes inside are just like in a bucket. They're just
they are in a bucket.
What's up? This is our bucket. We live here.
The first time I saw that, I was like, that's a conveniently frag grenade catching bucket, isn't it? Like, I can just play skee ball with my assault marines until they get the guys inside.
Yeah, all the fucking Imperium has to do against storm surges is clone fucking Larry Bird and have him fucking sink free throws with frag grenades in a fucking storm surge until those idiot fucking Tau figure out how to put a hatch on a goddamn walker.
It is the first warsuit that can be destroyed by dunking. Get dunked on, Storm Surge. All right, I think it's
anything that can be anything in Warhammer that can be actively taken out by Larry fucking Bird is terrible.
He's a legend, kid.
You don't care about fucking Boston Celtics.
I see a lot of murals of Larry Bird eating cheeseburgers around, all right? Because that's the kind of establishments I spend a lot of time in.
Okay, give me your last least favorite model, please.
My last one is a low ball. It is Chaos Possessed. They just look so fucking goofy.
Not good.
And well, here's the thing. You might be like, oh, like they're just a bad concept to begin with. But if you look at the concept art from the time, the concept art of them from the time looks like the Possessed we have now. Mm-hmm. It looks like the Greater Possessed we just got. Like there's that dope piece of artwork in the 4th ed book where there's like a possessed dude like scissoring off a Tau Fire Warrior's head, and like, sorry for going, don't pick on Tau. Now let's fucking shit on Tau. But like, there's the great piece of artwork where he's like killing a fire warrior. I'm like, that possessed dude looks scary. He looks cool. I love this guy. And these were possessed like their first time in plastic after like a god awful metal models, after a half measure conversion sprue that you usually use to make mutants out of models. You got their own dedicated kit, and it is goofy as shit. And there's a few good bits in there. Like, I think the Batwings are kind of neat if they're very cartoony, but it was just a failure all around. And when you look, especially when you look now at how cool the Greater Possessed are, because like, I'll be honest, I'm not big about the Galvor back models. They look kind of like a wad of bubblegum to me. But the new Greater Possessed models, like, they strike it right. And that's what Possessed should look like.
Yep.
And I hope they get a new kit that reflects that.
It's like, I know it's older than the Greater Possessed, the Possessed kit.
Yeah,
but
it is.
You look at the Greater Possessed and you're just like, these are what the fuck faces could be. And they're so much better.
And you look around even other kits around that same time when you've got like the Dark Angels sprue that is still available now.
Yes.
Which is like, it's parts are a little old, but man, that's a good sprue. There's some great detail on there. Mm-hmm. The Orc Knob kit was, I think, only a little bit later. And that's one of my favorite kits of all time. It's such a missed opportunity. It's such a miss.
The whole Dark Eldar redo when they brought them into the current age or whatever.
Yeah. It was a few years later. That was that
period, right?
It was a little later, but not that much later. Yeah.
Right. I still love it. Most of the Dark Eldar range totally kicks ass still.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
All right, well, that's our picks for favorites and least favorites, gang. We want to hear what you have to think about it. Contact at 40kbadcast.com. Send us your favorites, send us your least favorites, and feel free to tell us how wrong we are, because we are often wrong, and I love arguing. We got an email from, who was it, about Enter Sandman. One of our listeners who's reached out to us before, and he was talking about how great Enter Sandman was, and he's wrong. But then he showed a video of his kids singing it, and I kind of felt that he was right after that.
Dude, like 2 days after that, there was like a new trailer for a Call of Duty game that used Enter Sandman, and I was like, are you actually?
Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Call of Duty sucks.
Hot take, Call of Duty is okay sometimes.
Ooh, that is a hot take.
Yeah, there's my hot take. Sorry, I already spoiled it. I figured you didn't have a horse in that fight because I didn't think you played those sorts of video games. But
well,
anyway, preview of the episode we might not do.
I tried to play those games, but I am, how we say, not good. And it quickly became an effort in frustration. All right, let's move on, though. This is a long fucking episode, so we got to get to fact or fan fiction. So hit me, baby, one more time.
So I will one more time. I had a very long fact or fan fiction, but since we're already going along, I'm gonna throw a curveball here, and I'm gonna bring back the trio of songs, and you are going to figure out which one is actually about Warhammer and which two just really sound like they're about Warhammer.
Oh, I'm so excited. Go ahead.
All right. I did not use song titles last time because that could give it away.
No, don't use song titles, just lyrics.
All right. First one. You're seeing now a veteran of 1,000 psychic wars. My energy is spent at last and my armor is destroyed. I have used up all my weapons and I'm helpless and bereaved. Number 2. Fenris is loose. Now our wisdom is swallowed by ancient hate. The 9 steps are fulfilled. A new road is laid. And the third. Through man's existence from the start of time, the fight for survival is our only crime. Those in power, rotten to the core. The ongoing battle of the eternal war.
Oh, wow. Those are good, man.
I listen to a lot of power metal.
I'm fucking fanning myself over here. I'm getting a little hot. All right, I think the third song is got to be an actual Warhammer song with about the eternal war and all that. Yeah, I think that one's it.
You are correct. The third one is Eternal War by Bolt Thrower.
Boom!
You got it. You got it in one that time.
Boom!
So the first one of that Veteran of the Psychic Wars is a Blue Oyster Cult song, which is that was a wild cut. And the second one is Fenris by Enslaved.
All right, you want a hot take?
Sure.
That Fear the Reaper song?
Mm-hmm.
It sucks. It's not good.
I think it would be fine if I heard it less.
It's a bad song, and I hate it.
Well, all right. Come on, baby. Don't fear the fan fiction. We'll have our normally scheduled Factor fan fiction next time when we haven't been recording for 2 hours.
All right, so let's do some plugs. I want to talk about Goonhammer really quick. I am writing I'm part of a team writing a weekly column called Necro Monday on Goonhammer. It is coming out next Monday, the 12th of August, with our first 2 articles there. One of them will be like a how-to play Necromunda, sort of an intro to the game and the setting. And the other one will be our initial thoughts about the Palanite Enforcers that are on shelves this weekend. So very excited about that. So head on over to Goonhammer. You just wrote something about your road to Nova. It is a fantastic resource for all things Warhammer. You got to head over.
Hey, Carl plugged it on his show, and if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for us. Also, we write for it. So, yeah, it better be good enough for us.
You can go to Spreadshirt, shop.spreadshirt.com/40K Badcast. We got shirts. We really need to think of a new design because we haven't done that in a while.
Correct. The last one we did was the Cult of the Swell-Armed Emperor shirt, which, by the way, do not try to tear the tag out from the inside and the side because I did that and I ripped my shirt.
Oh, looks like you need a new one.
I do need a new one. If only there was a shop.spreadshirt.com/40K Badcast link I could click on to take me to buy my own shirt again.
We also have a Patreon where we have tons of content available for you to listen to. We recently put out our show about our non-Warhammer hobbies, which was a lot of fun to record and a little less fun to edit, but that's just how it goes. So go head on over to Patreon, check that out. We got 3 different tiers that you can be a part of and you can support the show, and we'd really appreciate if you did.
That's patreon.com/40K Badcast, where I might some of the content is even good.
You can reach us via email at contact@40kbadcast.com. I would love to hear your takes on gatekeeping. I would love to hear your takes on good and bad models. And if you want to continue to give me shit about popular songs that are in fact bad, then please feel free to do so via email at contact@40kbadcast.com. And you can also find us on social media. You can find me on Twitter. I am at DB_sleazy. Campbell is at Brother SRM. And Twitter, I mean, it's just hell. It's just bad.
Oh, yeah, no, it is a portal into the apocalypse. But also, I tweet about wild hogs, and that's pretty good.
Yeah, the whole feral hogs thing really fucking jumped up on us, didn't it?
I'm really going to enjoy that joke being completely dead in about 13 seconds because I'm pretty sure it's already on the way out. But you know what? I had fun while it lasted with all 29 to 50 of my feral hogs.
Yeah, I think it'll be dead in about 3 to 5 minutes, to tell you the truth.
Once I get my hands on it, it's not good anymore. So
okay, that's stupid. Campbell, you're on Tumblr. You post pictures of your models there.
I do.
It's Cam2D on Tumblr, and you're on Insta too, aren't you?
I am. I'm at Crumbs McLums. Have fun spelling that, fuckers. Also on Facebook at facebook.com/40kbadcast.
Yeah, fuck you. Fuck you, listeners. Dumbasses. Sorry. I just he just gets me caught up sometimes. This guy. He's a rabble rouser. This Crumbs McLums fella over here.
This
How many B's are in Crumbs McLums?
2? 1 in Crumbs, 1 in Lums,
and 1 in Mick. What?
Where?
Okay, give us a quote.
It's getting late in the day, folks.
Give us a quote so we can end this dumb farce of a fucking podcast.
God. In an hour of darkness, a blind man is the best guide. In an age of insanity, look to the madman to show the way.
Well, this was about 2 hours of darkness, and you can always trust these two madmen to show you the way. I'm Dan Boyd. He's Campbell McLaughlin. We are the 40K Badcast. We're bad at 40K. You can too, and we'll see you in the next cartoon.
I was kind of hoping I'd get a chance to make a episode 55 joke, and I'm like, oh man, I'm old.
You know, I thought about bringing in the beginning of the episode with a 55 joke. I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, man, I don't even think I remember how to count to 55.
Well, it's easy. You count 5 plus 5 is 50, 50, 50, 55.
What was it? 1, do and hyph.
7, 14, 27, 37.
What'd you say?
55. Yeah.
Shwiggity shway. Shwiggity shwa.
Shwiggity wanna be 55.
Wow.
Girlfriend's age, 55. My IQ, 55. Yeah.
Oh, what a fucking shit show.
What a shrift show.